consideration of the 2019 fiscal year budget. We'll begin today's meeting with Sheriff Ingram, who's top of the list for 9 a.m. So, Sheriff, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, we'll keep this short and sweet today. I don't look for a lot of changes on my budget at all. Hey, if you will look at, and when I made copies, yes, sir. Yeah, just go behind that, Carl, to going north. Yeah, there we go. I got my cards that I'm asking for first, then right behind that is the budget, where my budget paperwork. It's actually budget page 35, but it's going to be right behind. I put it up first because the others, I guess, I'm just asking to keep the gas about the same. I don't see you using any more than what we did this last time. The only thing we might want to consider is if Trump goes to war with Iran and gas prices shoot up. That's happened before, but I guess we could just pull it out of our general fund if we needed to.
We're self-sufficient now.
Yeah, sir.
We're self-sufficient now.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. We'll see. But other than that, without anything unforeseen, all those budget items I'll keep the same. But if you look at 495
How many
other
trucks did you buy last year?
Sir?
How many trucks?
We only got 3 last year. Normally we get 4, but I cut back to help save on the budget last year, but only 2 of those went in patrol. So I'm going to ask for 4 this year because I'm putting every one of them in patrol. I need them they're all going to have to go to patrol this year. But on the first one, before we get to the trucks, on the other expense, the last 2 years, y'all been giving me $45,000. I don't really need that much money in that account. I'm not spending it. I'm giving a lot of it back. Now, this year I gave so much back, that was because we had that highway fund, and I've been using a lot of the money out of that to save our taxpayers' dollars here for a lot of stuff. So I probably won't be able to give back as much next year because we're almost out of that. It was in payables, you know what I'm talking about? But I think we got about 4,000 or a little less than that left in that. It's almost gone. So I will be using more out of that other account than I have been, but we've been pulling the GPS system out of that, so 30,000 I think will do it. I don't think I'll be lacking it all if you guys could just give me 30 instead of 45, so we'll cut that
what
back
else
15,000.
was in that 2019 figure besides those 3 vehicles?
We had cameras on that last year, Judge, but I'm done with cameras.
Vehicle cameras or
yes,
body cameras?
No, vehicle cameras.
You say you're done with?
Done with the car cameras.
Really?
We're good. Yes, sir. So no more of those.
You don't mean you're done using them? You're just
no, we use them. I'm just done buying them right now unless
yeah.
one, and if one goes out or if a body camera goes out, now them are kind of expensive, but I'll usually take those out of other expense too. That's where we pull those. And usually we'll have about 1 a year to go bad out of them, and they're about $1,200 now, the good ones. But, so that's why I say 30,000 will be plenty. I think I can work with that and still pull that, because I believe that's what we pull, if I'm not mistaken, the GPS system out every year too. That's $6,000 a year. Do we pull that out of other?
Yeah, probably out of other.
Yeah.
I don't know what else was in capital outlay. There was something else big. Maybe it was something.
What's the cameras?
Was it that much? Because I got 182,000 to spend in 18.
Yeah, those cameras were pretty expensive. It was the cameras and cars.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
we had 4 cars. This year we've only spent 137.
Yeah.
Well, the cameras you can transfer from one car to
That's
another.
right. Yes, sir. That's right.
I need
Yes, I don't need those. That's why I'm saying I'm not buying any more cameras. We've got them in all of our cars. We're good on those. And these new cameras you guys bought us, I appreciate it because this is where it'll save us money now that we don't need them. There's no moving parts in them. They have just been zero maintenance on these cameras. I mean, they've really done what I expected them to do. So, and these Tahoes are too.
Do these have the cards in them? They have to bring them in and download them?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we still got to bring the card in and download them. But these don't actually have a card; these have a thumb drive. So we've got extra thumb drives. So when we pull one out, we just stick another one in and download it. And yeah, these systems are really nice. But and the quality on them, especially the night quality on them, everything, they're really good cameras. But yeah, I don't need those. So what I'm asking for this year, other than going down on the other to 30 from 45,000 to 30,000, and I think I can work on that because like I said, I'm not going to have that highway much money that I can use.
There's 23,000 on there. There is still 23.
Oh, is there really?
There's 4,500 in the checking account. I put the rest of it in the CD.
Oh.
There's two.
Oh, okay. Well, the 30,000 be plenty.
So you spent less than you thought.
I'll probably give some more of that back. So, You know, now Carl, if y'all need to use that for my gas.
You better watch
stuff,
Carl. He took some of that.
I mean,
Tricked you.
I didn't put it somewhere.
Did you put any CDs back for me, Carl? Have you not told me about? Just make sure. Okay.
But
Why I don't have any.
But that payables though is why I had so much money left in other this time, is because I used that money because that's not our budget money. So I used that instead of that, and I'll do it again this year. So
So your forfeitures, 4,500.
no, not the forfeitures. No, I'm talking about. No, I haven't been using
talking
that.
about the commissary?
No, I'm talking about that where work that security. You guys, they approved us to use our car for that security.
Okay, yeah, that just comes in and out of your fund, though. That's
Okay, yeah, we're almost out of that. So yeah, so I'll need 30,000 because we're almost out of that. But
Tim, what fund was that paid for that cooler? We had to change that cooler.
I use commissary for that.
That's commissary.
Yeah, we didn't use a dime of the taxpayers' money on that. We used commissary for that whole thing. So that,
No big capital projects needed?
you know, Judge, our buildings, it's old, but we've kept it up. It's in pretty good shape. Our air conditioning units, we've only got one old one that's left, and I don't think we're having any trouble out of it. I mean, it's still working good. I just don't, all of our boilers that we've had, we've replaced. Just the cars, the only thing I see we might need. I don't see any. I just don't see, unless something unforeseen, I just don't see anything big this year. I mean, I think we're going to do pretty good on our, so.
You still get all your AC serviced a couple of times a year?
Yeah, no, we do it ourselves now at the very first year, the cleaning and all of that. So we even save that. That's one reason why on the building, let me see what number that's at. Building maintenance. Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's 450. You guys, when I first come into office, we were spending over 100,000, and now you're giving me 75,000. We're giving some of that back. We're not going to spend all of that this year. Now I hate to go lower than that. I'd rather have it at 75, just in case a big unit goes out, and give it back than have to unplan and ask for it if something happens. But I mean, so we've cut that budget over the years a pretty good bit. But I mean, everything's rolling smooth. The units that we've got are good. Just like I said, when we got that one. Good. So I don't expect any big expenditures out of that. And now what we've done too, to make sure that a hailstorm don't go through and wipe out half our units again, we've got hail protectors on all those units up there, and we even put a hail protector on the new freezer unit we just put in. So we've safeguarded all that stuff to hopefully assure that won't happen again. Now, anything short of a tornado, I think we're going to be pretty good. I mean, you never know, but I think that 75,000 is plenty in that budget again. I believe we'll give some more back next year from that. So,
Tim, on the contract with the city, we're at the same price for their prisoners for a long time. Is that contract?
well, no, actually, I'm going to get with when their new city manager comes in. Had went up on that. I went up $5,000 on our contract with the city. But what I've offered them is if they'll give us the dog pound for free, I'll give them Class C's for free. I've asked them just for an even swap there, so that there ain't all this money swapping hands.
Maybe we need to bring that up again.
Yeah, I'm going to. I've already talked to some of the council members about it, and actually they're in agreement with it. But I just need to get with, I don't know who their interim.
Eddie, they have Eddie Parrott now.
Oh, is Eddie Parrott in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll get with him pretty quick
Good to
before we
work
finish our budget, and one day this week.
They're about the same right now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's real close.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to up ours to where it is the same because, we gave them that property. And them holding our dogs to the county has zero liability, and we have all the liability over here. I mean, so
And
actually.
we haven't went up in 8 years.
Yeah, and we hadn't went up on them in 8 years. And the city makes money on those Class Cs, and that's why they, are interested in working
Is
with
their
me on
volume
that, so.
down any?
Sir?
Is their volume down of those Class C prisoners?
I don't believe so. It's
Really?
it usually holds pretty steady, but about the same. But yeah, it's I just think that, I mean, they go up on us on everything, and yeah. So I went up on them this year. I went up $5,000 on the animal deal. But what I've offered though, before they get rid of Mike, I told Mike that that I'm gonna pretty much keep it up with what they're charging for that dog pound. So I told him, I said, hey, why don't we just call it even? You give us a dog pound usage for the county citizens, and I'll swap it out. So, and he said he's interested in doing that, but then he's gone now, so I don't.
Well, it's crying. It's bad that you're double charging our tax people. You get 5,000 here and 5,000 there. I just hate seeing our taxpayers getting. I'm glad and hope he works it out.
Yeah, and two, they got to think about this. City needs to think about this. If it wasn't for taxpayers out in the county coming up here spending money at Walmart and eating out, they wouldn't have half what they have.
Exactly right.
I mean,
right.
I know it's the city limits, but still, if it
We
wouldn't.
got to work together.
That's right.
And
so that's what I'm interested in doing. So I think we just need to do an even swap. I've got a couple of councilmen, so I guess I'll get with Eddie. I didn't realize Eddie was the.
They just announced it last night.
Okay. Well, then I'll get with Eddie and tell him what we've got planned, and we'll proceed with it. See if we can't get it done.
Okay. Well, if that changes, let us know so we can remove that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely. If they don't want to do it swapping, I'm still going up 5,000. So.
Nothing else, I'll have the dog pound in here and I'll have the fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wash either way.
But I just hope they can see that it's double. The taxpayers are going to pay regardless, either one.
Yeah. But other than that, gentlemen, I'm expecting really, unless gas prices go up, that's the only big expenditure. I think our boilers are fine, but there again, the good thing is if we had a boiler that did go out that we wouldn't planned on, then things can be, anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000. But I've got our commissaries built up so high, we keep that up now. We could take another one out of it, but I don't look for that to happen. So I think my budget money looks good.
What is your prisoner housing looking like these days?
It's about the same. What we have done, we've contacted Collin County, and Collin County actually got back with us and been working, and we're trying to get where we hold prisoners for them. And if this deal works out, I wouldn't want to say anything until we get it worked out, but I guess we can go ahead and talk about it. If it works out, it's going to be really good for us. We're going to be back up, bringing a lot of money for the county on that. Now we'll have to hire a couple more jailers again if that happens, but oh gosh, yeah, 10 times over. I mean, so we're working on that. Hopefully it's going to work out because Mount Vernon's wanting to hold some, and I think that's going to help us. We're going to kind of go together with some of the smaller counties, and they need some help. I don't think they're wanting to build a jail right now, so hopefully they're going to. But I was encouraged a little bit because they contacted us first, then we contacted them back, and now they've actually got back with us again and done more on it. So
What'd you price them at?
At 40 a head on them because.
Gosh, that's a good price.
Yeah, it's a good price. Well, and two, we don't have to have two jailers to take them to the hospital if they got to go, like we do the feds. So we can do it a little cheaper for them because we don't have to have the manpower for them. So, but yeah, if they can put 30 or 40 of them down here, that's going to be, with what we've got with the feds, that's going to be pretty good. And we can house them. We've got the room for them right now. So we're working on that pretty hard to hopefully get that. Other than that, the feds are about the same, about 15 to 20 is what they usually give us throughout the year. Sometimes they'll get down to 12, but then they'll get us back up to 15 or 16, and then they'll get us up close to 20 or 21, and then it just fluctuates. But I look for that to kind of stay the same on that. So, and remember what's good. Not only the money coming in from getting paid from these inmates, they put a lot of money when you have a jail that full. They have put a lot of money in commissary, which goes back in. Then when we have a boiler that goes out, we can pull it out of that because we pulled the 100% right out of the commissary. Yeah, so we didn't take any budget money at all for this last boiler that was pretty expensive. But like I say, we're in pretty good shape now. I think we just do a few, and one of the projects we got going on in the jail is we're putting some new waterproof paint down in the floors that's slip proof for the inmates in the showers. And actually, our last week, we passed the last jail inspection, but actually the new jail inspector that to come in actually encouraged us to do that. And and because the old stuff that was there was about gone, it was wore out, had been there for years. So, you know, we're spending, I don't know, $1,500, $2,000 to do that. And other than that, I mean, just a little paint, just maintenance. I mean, I think we got plenty in our budget. I just don't see anything major. So the car is just getting 4 Tahoes. It's really the only thing I'm asking for, and then we can cut that other down to 30,000 from 45. Because I don't need that much money in there, so.
Not too easy. Well, good. We'll celebrate then.
Tim, appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
That it? Thank you. That's no worries. Carl, good to work with you. When's your last day?
Yeah.
I figure it's the last one again. October 1st.
Well, really September 30th will be my
Oh, okay. Well, it was.
He wants to
I
get
didn't know
that
if it was
gift, get that special gift.
I thought you fixed to leave as soon as the budget deal was over. Well, good, you'll be here. Oh,
No, he's throwing a big party for the whole county.
Yeah, he gonna buy
October
everybody.
1st. He gonna just
Meal.
cook us all a meal.
You hadn't heard that?
You heard that? Come to his house. Feed everybody.
I'll probably need some of your people.
He's fine.
Brisket, pork chops, everything.
All right.
Tim, thank
Thank
you.
you, Tim.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Be careful, Tim.
Okay, well, we got plenty of time between now and Marcus. We may get him over here early, but Ray's here. Ray got back with me yesterday, said he could be here. So flip back to your yesterday's information. Let's try to remember the questions we had. Okay, Ray, we did have discussions yesterday. The old subject about mileage came up again. So we're going to ask you to do a couple of things. One, will you and Lisa and whoever else makes transports start keeping a log for us so the court can have an idea of what you do in the way of transports and where all you have to go, like Terrell. Tell them where else you go besides Terrell, and give these guys that I don't think we've ever had this discussion, help them to understand what your additional responsibilities are as the mental health officer.
Okay.
Let's start with that.
The main transports we do are to Terrell. It's a state hospital. That's for people, the ones that we transport that don't have insurance, they have to go to state hospitals. If they go to a private hospital, then they're taken by ambulance or by a family member or something like that. But I also do take some to Greenville at Glen Oaks. I've taken quite a few down to Atlanta, to a mental facility down there. I've taken some to Dallas, and in some of the other Dallas suburbs, I've taken some there. Sometimes as favors to the hospital because they couldn't get anybody to get them transported, so I've taken them to those places. It's about a 200-mile. It's pretty much from my office to Terrell is 100 miles, so it's 200-mile round trip every time we go. We transport on order of protective custodies and on emergency detention warrants. And it seems like every year those increase. They're going up every year. I have all of I make copies of all the OPCs that I do, so I do have numbers as far as how many transports we have done, and it wouldn't be anything to figure up the mileage.
How long have you been keeping those kind of records?
Since I started. And all I do is I just make copies of all the emergency detention warrants and the protective custody, the OPCs. I just make copy of those. And if I have any other forms that go with it, I just keep up with that. That way I know how many. And like I said, mileage would be real easy to figure out because I know how far it is to the locations that I go to. So, and as far as what all I do, the extra responsibilities as the mental health officer, first thing is I'm on call. I'm on call 24/7 for that. They come at all hours of the day and night, mostly night. I get very seldom do I get one where they call me up in the morning and say, hey, we're going to have one for you today during normal business hours. I get them late in the evening, anywhere from 5 o'clock to midnight. I get them on weekends. I get them on holidays. And when you get them, you pretty much have to get it taken care of. Sometimes you can put it off just a little while if you're busy and you're tied up on something else, but for the most part, I've got to get them transported.
Are they really asking you to make weekend trips? I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, I have to go. They call me a lot of times on weekends. And that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. It's if JP does an emergency detention or or we get to the point where we get to an OPC, then they call me. And the hospital's real bad about not giving me any kind of heads up, because typically if it's a female transport, I try to get my female deputy to do that. But a lot of times they don't give me enough heads up that I'm able to make arrangements with her because she has a regular full-time job. And so a lot of times I'll take a family member that's a female with me just so I've got a female, going with me if I do have to transport a female.
Ray, if they call you, how much time do you have before?
Well, you've got 72 hours that one can be detained, but trying to leave somebody at the hospital in an emergency room, we've had them stay up there before we ever get the call to transport. We've had them stay up there as much as 10 days. Well, 10 days in an emergency room would make me have some mental issues. So we try to get in there as soon as we get the call. We try to get them taken care of because a lot of times they've already been there for a lengthy time.
The problem is he may know at 10 o'clock in the morning that they're trying to get a person transported, but there's a lot of conversation that has to go on between the emergency room doctors and Terrell before they actually say, yes, we have a bed ready, you may now come. Because there's so few beds at Terrell. So Ray may sit there and wonder, all day long, well, when am I going to go? When am I going to go? And it can be, late in the afternoon before they finally say, okay, come and pick him up. So I encourage them to let him know at least so he can plan his day before he has to do that. How many when you make a trip for an emergency detention warrant, which I have nothing to do with, that's going to be the justice of the peace, those are fairly infrequent compared to orders of protective custody? Are they about the same or what?
The emergency detention is when we have a family member, somebody come in and file an application for emergency detention with the JP, and they decide, yes, this person needs to be picked up and taken down for evaluation. Then I'll go out and assess it, and then I'll pick them up on the detention, and I'll take them to the hospital. And then they typically stay there until MHMR they have to be evaluated medically. Then MHMR has to come in and evaluate them, a mental health evaluation. And then if they determine that they need to go to a mental facility, then they get with you. I assume that you're the first one they're getting with to get the OPC done. And then with all that, then you've got the doc to doc, the nurse to nurse. They have to find a bed first. They have to make sure the hospital has a bed, and a lot of times they don't.
But when does the situation come up, and I'm only aware of a few of these, when they will actually go to Terrell only on an emergency detention warrant without contacting me,
right.
And then Terrell calls me Monday morning and says, well, they came on an emergency detention warrant, and I'm going, well, why wasn't I notified, and why was it not elevated to an order of protective custody?
Right. The emergency detentions, if the hospital had their way, we'd take them all on an emergency detention.
Why? What's the difference?
With an emergency detention, I would take them all the way to the mental facility, and then I would have to wait for them to get evaluated. And then if they got evaluated and they said that they didn't need to be there, then I would have to bring them all the way back. And that has happened on
Yeah, which is foolish. But why do they prefer that? Because it's quicker?
Probably because they don't have to house them as long. Because up here they have to wait on MHMR, and I don't know how good MHMR is with their time, but a lot of times these patients, like I said, they have to wait at the hospital for a long time. Whereas on emergency detention, they can do it pretty quick. But that doesn't work, and I usually won't take them on an emergency detention. I'll wait until the OPC comes in, just because I don't have the manpower to go up there and sit. Especially if I go at 6 o'clock after working all day, I can't sit up there until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning waiting on them to get evaluated.
Surely those are fairly infrequent.
Yeah, those, like I said, they would happen more if I allowed it. But I tell them, no, I'm not doing it on emergency detention because it's too much liability on me. I had one that I had to carry to Atlanta, and I did it on emergency detention because they said, yeah, the hospital said they're going to take him. Well, I get him down there, they refused to take him. Well, he was homeless. So when I got back to Mount Pleasant, I had no place to go with him, and I couldn't just let him out because I felt like we'd be liable if something happened to him.
So when Terry Scoggin complains to me that, well, we can't get a quick transport, that must be the situation that he's talking about, because I'm telling him, you know what, as soon as I get that paperwork, I'm doing what I have to do, and I'm not aware of Ray saying, no, we're not going to be able to transport. So
I never tell the hospital, in the almost 5 years I've been doing it, I never tell the hospital, no, I'm not coming. Now, there may be a situation where I'm not able to right then, or I don't have the right personnel to take care of it at that minute. And I have, if they've called sometimes at 10 o'clock at night, I have put them off till the next morning because 90% of the time they've already given them medicine that's knocked them out and they're asleep anyway. But I never tell them that I won't or can't transport. I do whatever.
But still,
it takes
if
to
they
get them
complain,
taken care of.
if they complain about this being a regular thing, that's not true. That's
Absolutely
not a
not.
regular thing. Okay.
As a matter of fact, we had one not too long ago that we decided to do an emergency detention. It was a female, and so I had Lisa come in and do the transport. It was basically doing it as a favor just to go ahead and get her out of here because she was really had some serious mental issues. She got her to Sulphur Springs. She started throwing up all in the car because of some medication.
And that was
they gave her
just
at
a
the
couple of
hospital.
weeks ago.
And then
wasn't it?
she started complaining of chest pains. Well, I can't just continue the trip because if the woman has a heart attack and dies, the county's in a lot of trouble. So I had her stop at the emergency room in Sulphur Springs, and she was stuck in Sulphur Springs with this lady until they could do their medical treatment and everything, and then they finally let her go, and then we transported her on up to Terrell. Luckily, Terrell agreed to go ahead and take her. Terrell could have refused her at that point because said, hey, she's got medical issues, we're not going to take her, and then we'd have been stuck with her. So this mental stuff can be a real problem. It's a big headache. Not anything I'm going to complain about. I'm going to do whatever needs to be done, but it can be a real headache.
Okay, well, can you do this for the 12-month period ended June 30th, just a week ago?
Okay.
Give us a log of transports, where, the date, who transported, you, Lisa, anybody else make transports?
just us.
No? And where you took them?
Okay.
Just so we can, because I'm not able to tell them about how many trips you make. I mean,
Okay.
all I know is the orders of protective custody trips, but I don't always know who makes that transport. Sometimes they use their site car, and I don't know when they make that
In
decision.
the emergency detentions, there's a lot of those that I never have to go out of town with. I have to go pick them up and take them to the hospital to get them evaluated, and then they get evaluated and nothing ever happens with them. Or they end up having insurance, and so they're taken by ambulance or by site car. So there's a lot. I do a lot more than just the OPCs. I have to go get all the emergency detentions and do those too. I just don't transport them, all of them out of town. Some of them go.
So
but
when
not,
you
not
say-
every
Why
one.
don't you give a list of all the emergency detention?
Right, and I've got every bit of that. I've got them all copied, and I've also put them on the computer.
Identify whether it's needed, emergency.
And I already have all that done. I can print that off for you and have it to you.
When
And I
you
have
say-
the
when
last
you
3
say-
years of numbers also. I
When
gave
you
that to
say
y'all
you,
last year.
when you say you have to do the emergency detentions, you're talking about you have to go to the residence and pick
Right.
that person up who's causing problems or whatever.
To the residence or to the nursing home facility, or
Yeah.
we get them from all.
And the
ages.
way that they're picked up, a police officer might get called. He might be the one making the transport, or do they try to call
No,
you?
typically I'm the one, because most everybody now, police officers, they go out, they don't really deal with the mental a lot, so they don't really know how to read them, and so a lot of times they don't they just say, we're done with them. It's nothing criminal here, so we're done. But I've been dealing with them for a long time, even when I was working as a police officer. But so a lot of times they'll call me to come out and do it because I have experience with working with them, talking with them, getting them to cooperate without having to fight them and things like that. So
When you have to go to Terrell, we were looking at like your mileage dollars. You're not taking your personal vehicle, so we're not paying you out of town mileage.
right,
on those.
I've done very few like that over the years, just because of the safety risks that's involved.
Because you don't have a cage in your truck.
Right, and I'm not able to. If they were suicidal and they wanted to get out, it'd probably be pretty easy for them. Or if they were homicidal, and most of mine are both. They're either suicidal, homicidal, or both. And like I was telling y'all last year, Clevie Johnson actually had one take his gun away from him while he was driving down the road. And if you're driving, anything, they can cause you to have a wreck. So that's the reason I don't do that. But it doesn't cost the county any mileage.
We're using unmarked or marked constable?
Well, I've been using the marked because I don't have, the only unmarked car I have, the air conditioner doesn't work in it.
Okay.
So I've been using the marked unit. But all that is that we're using our fuel, but there's no mileage involved. Most of the times I don't charge for meals. I either take care of it myself or, I don't eat, one of the two. So I try to keep the expense down as much as I can.
Okay.
But there's not much expense in it really, other than the fuel and wear and tear on a car. That the one patrol car that I do have, it's really a bad car to be driving around. And I'm really afraid, mainly for my deputy, if she gets out, late in the evening or at night, the thing's got 130-something thousand miles on it. It just, there's no telling when it's gonna go out. And not to mention it's beat to pieces with hail. It's really, it's really not a sight to look at for people.
We
out
was
in the county.
talking yesterday, we probably need to, well, something come out of service that's decent, we need to upgrade that
Yeah,
vehicle.
I check with the county barn pretty regular,
Yeah.
and the last time I checked, he said, what I've got is probably worse than what you've already got.
Yeah,
So
we
I don't
talked
see
about
sense
last week.
in that expense of getting it ready, and then it just.
And then
not
you have to
working
have an
anymore.
unmarked vehicle for some reason, some
You're
type of
supposed to,
patient.
that's the law, but it
It's
says
supposed
that
to
there's
be
no other means
unmarked.
available, and pretty much if I don't have anything, then I'm getting away with it. And shame on me, I haven't looked into it fully yet, but I'm looking at possibly trying to get a grant. I should be able to qualify for a grant to where the state will buy us a vehicle. I don't see any problem, any reason why I wouldn't qualify, because with us, me being the only mental health officer around here.
Would you really check on that? That
I typed
sounds
up my
good.
letter and everything, and I don't know anything about writing grants, so I'm gonna have to get with somebody that has some experience in that to show me or even do it for me, you know, write up a grant so that we can get with the state on that. But they say they're really good about providing resources to.
That's
law
where I'm
enforcement.
going with this is another vehicle, because that vehicle is kind of iffy. And if we're using it that much for these transports, I don't think we need to be buying a brand new vehicle. If you can get a new vehicle with a grant, then fine. I don't
Right.
want, but I'm.
Oh, no, we don't need a brand new vehicle for
We
something
could
like
buy,
that
we
unless the
could buy
state
a
wants to
decent
give it.
used, yeah, we could buy a decent used vehicle
Right.
if we need to, but yeah, if you'll pursue that grant.
And the transports are going up. We're getting a lot of these counties because there's so many people that hear, oh, Mount Pleasant, send your crazy people to Mount Pleasant because they take care of everything. So now we're getting people coming in from all other counties, and a lot of these counties won't come get their people.
Well, I'm aware of that, but I'm also telling them we're not transporting them.
No, they don't. Well, they're not getting the message in because they're constant. And I do it. I mean, I don't have any choice. If the person needs to go to a mental facility and that county refuses to come get them, I don't feel right just letting them. I mean, this person's needing some help, so I don't feel right.
Will
just
you
letting them
start
sit.
letting me know about those? I want to know about those because I want to talk to these judges. It's not fair for us to get, they say, oh, we'll take care of yours and you take care of ours.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
They don't ever get any of our
They don't
patients.
get ours. They say we have an agreement with Kemp County. It's been in place since before I took office that we'll take y'all's, y'all take ours. They don't get ours because our people go here, and so it's not working out good. And we're getting
Okay,
the wrong
well,
end
will
of
you
that deal.
start letting me know when that happens?
Franklin County's good. Morris County, or is it Morris County? Dangerfield? Morris County's good about coming to get theirs, but I'm getting a lot of them that just say, no, they're in your town, they're your responsibility. Well, that's a lot on our budget, trying to on gas and oil and wear and tear on vehicles, but like I said, I can't just let them sit there. That's not right to the person that's needing the help. So we go ahead and do it.
Well, start letting me know when you're forced to take an out-of-county person to Terrell.
Okay. I had two last week. I took them both together. One was from Kemp County and one was from
Cass County.
Cass County.
Yeah,
that's it,
I signed them both.
I had to take them both.
And you took both of those.
Yeah, I had
And
to.
Camp doesn't ever take any of ours.
No, and I called Camp because I was in
No,
a bind.
they have, but it happens very seldom.
Very seldom.
I called Camp County last week because I was kind of in a bind. Lisa was working at the time, and this was two females that needed to go. She was working, so I called them and I said, "Is there any way y'all can take care of this?" He said, "No, we're not going to be able to do it." He said, "I'll get with you later and talk," but we had to do it because they wouldn't do it for whatever reason. They wouldn't do it.
Okay, all right. Last question that I had here on your auto allowance. We're asking all the officials that are still on the auto allowance, what is your best guess as to your actual mileage? In other words, are we paying more in that auto allowance than needs to be paid? Not that we're ready to make a change, but we're trying to gather information on that. What's the real deal there?
Well, I haven't logged the exact amount of miles I have just for work, but it's on this new truck. I bought a new truck in 2018. It's about 16 months old. I've put about 24,000 miles on it. Obviously, all of those are not county miles because it's my personal vehicle, but I don't put a lot of miles on a vehicle personally. I have another car that I use for all of my running around. I usually put about 12,000 miles a year on a vehicle. So, I mean, I don't know. I put quite a few miles. I do a lot of patrolling. I don't sit around the office all the time. I'm out in the county, out in the precinct,
So
patrolling around a lot.
12 to 15,000 a year for county, something like that.
That'd be my guess, but I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you unless I kept up with it for a whole year just to see, but it is quite a bit.
Okay.
And then, you know, you got your gas and your insurance and your wear and tear and everything on the vehicle. So you spend quite a bit of money using your
Well,
personal.
but that's what the mileage reimbursement is for.
Yeah, and in my opinion, the mileage reimbursement wouldn't cover the actual expense. I don't think it's enough that it would cover what you spend. If you're figuring in your payment.
At 54 cents a mile,
58 cents.
And I haven't sat down and figured it up. I haven't put the number, so I don't know.
Yeah.
For, 100%, but I do put quite a few miles on my personal vehicle. And if you'd like, I can keep up with it this year. I'll log every mile that I
well,
put in.
we're going to discuss that, whether or not we want to have these other departments start keeping track of what their county miles is, so that we can get a feel for what we're paying as compared to what it would be if
Okay.
we switched
Well, I'll just
over
start
to
keeping
miles.
mine. I'll just start keeping up with mine just in case y'all decide for sure that's what y'all want to do. I'll have.
Well, I'll give you plenty of warning if we were to do that.
Okay.
I want to start off by knowing what is the differential. We may have some departments that's a good, fair allowance. We may have some where we realize, hey, part of this is just salary because we
Right.
set this in stone years ago.
Right.
All right. Well, so
The other question was that transporting $2,900, is that when you had to hire somebody to ride with you?
I don't hire anybody. I'm not going to cost the county extra money for that. I usually take
Yeah.
my daughter or
Yeah.
somebody, a grown daughter.
So
She's
what's
not a
that
minor.
for? What's that $2,900 transporting?
I don't really. I mean, I use it for a lot of different things. When I use something that doesn't fall into a certain category,
Yeah.
it usually comes out of that.
Yeah.
But what it was actually designed for up front, I don't know. I'm assuming mileage
Well,
and things
what
like that. Which
what
I'm
I
not using.
believe is it was mileage for out of county transports when you used your personal vehicle.
Right.
And we used that in years past. CLAYTON used it a lot, but
Right.
since you've switched over to not using your personal vehicle, that's why we're not seeing any expense coming out of there.
And on that personal vehicle thing, if y'all tell me from now on we want you to use your personal vehicle, I'll take my personal vehicle. The only reason I don't do it is just because, like I said, the safety issues. But
No, I'd
but this is
rather
y'all's deal.
use-
Whatever y'all tell me to do, I'm going to do.
I would rather use a cheap county vehicle and just pay for gas, oil, and tires
Right.
than pay 58 cents a mile. That's a better deal for us. But if we need to be planning on getting a replacement, nice used vehicle or a hand-me-down, or even better, a grant, that's the way I'd like to go.
Well, I'll look into the grant. I'll start looking into it this week and see what I can come up with on that. Like I said, I just got to find somebody that can help me that knows about writing grants. I don't know the first thing about it, so if I can get some help on that, I'll get that
Even
taken
if we
care
had
of.
to pay somebody to write that grant. And you can contact the college about grant writers. There are grant writers for hire out there.
Okay.
If you think that's a pretty sure thing, we need to get that done.
I talked with Johnny Millwood. He's the one that teaches a lot of the mental health stuff, and I went to one of his classes, and he said that he didn't see any reason why we wouldn't qualify.
Maybe we
Like I
get
said,
Chris
he
to
being
do
the
it
only one
too?
in this area.
Or is it just you needs one?
Excuse me.
Is it for transport mental health patients, the grant is?
No, this wouldn't apply.
Yeah,
to
it wouldn't
Chris.
apply to him.
This is
Okay.
a responsibility that only Ray has.
Yeah.
Boy, that sure would be good.
I
We'll
should
pay
have
for a
already
grant.
been.
We'll pay for a grant writer if we can get a grant on a vehicle.
Okay. Well, I'll
last
look
a
into
while.
that real heavy this week.
So we could get 10 years out of that vehicle.
Yeah, because that's the only thing, and that'd be the only thing we would use it for. We don't need it for anything else, so we have a patrol car for doing that, so.
Okay.
And the only thing the patrol car's used for other than mental health is when Lisa comes in, she patrols the county because she doesn't
Do you
get
just
paid,
have
so-
one extra vehicle, or do you have two?
Well, I have the two, but the one doesn't have an it's unmarked. I took everything off of it, and it doesn't have an air conditioner in it, and it's probably not worth spending the money to put air conditioner in it. It's got 180,000 miles, and it's an old Crown, so I mean, it's probably not going to last too much longer. And we don't even use it, like I said, because of the air. You couldn't stay in it.
What
today.
year model is it?
Uh,
At least 10 years old.
yeah, it's at least 10 years. It's 2008, I think, or 7. I can find out for you for sure. I think it's 2008.
Well, if that vehicle's not being used, we need to sell it.
It's not being used. I've only kept it just in case because my other one, like I said, with the mileage it's getting, it could quit on me at any time. And if it quits, I've got to have something, even if it means riding around in something without air conditioning. So that's the only reason I've held on to it as long as I have.
To get rid of that vehicle, how much Commissioners Court authority how much decision do we have to do? Can we just tell him to call Auctioneer Express
Put
or
it on
something.
Auctioneer Express.
I mean, typically, we just take them to the county barn, don't we? And they give them back to them, and then they take care of doing the auction or getting.
Well, are they gonna take care of selling it, though? They don't have time to be messing with that.
I don't know how they do the auctions. I've never done
We
one.
just
They take
park it at the barn and call,
They'll auction it off.
McGonigal, he'll come
Call
take a
Mr.
picture and put it in one of his
Mr.
auctions.
McGonigal at Auctioneer Express.
Okay.
I mean, we're only gonna get a few $100s for it, but if it's just sitting over
Yeah,
there,
it's
let's
pretty
get
rough,
rid
and
of
it's
it.
needing, I think it needs some tires.
The one that I've got, it needs some everything.
Yeah.
Paint's flaking off of it. I mean, it's,
We were
Let's
talking
get
about it
rid
the
of
other
it.
day.
Get rid of it.
okay.
Call Auctioneer Express, and maybe he'll pick it up, maybe he'll have you drop it off down there, I don't know, but let's get rid of it.
Okay. Well, like I said, I keep up with them and ask if they've got anything, any hand-me-downs that are coming out, and they usually everything is already in worse shape. When they come from the sheriff's office, they're already
pretty
beat up because they have to drive them really fast down rough roads and stuff. By the time I get them, they're pretty much worn out.
Tell Dale that got a good 260 in it.
What's that?
Tell Dale up there's got a good 260 in it. 2 windows down at 60 mile an hour.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Anything
Thank you.
else?
No, sir, that's it.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, Marcus.
He doesn't need anything.
Did you attach any worksheets? Yeah, there it is. I thought I saw some. He's got kind of a worksheet back there at the back end. And I believe Ray's going to talk to you about a subject very similar to what Mr. AGAN talked to you about. Go ahead, Marcus.
All right, good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is my first meeting, obviously, so maybe I have to have a little guidance along here, but you want me to start on the line items, or?
Sure.
Okay, so on district clerk salary, I've kept that the same, $51,538. Last year, I had a district clerk office deputy budget of $107,912, and that was for 4 full-time office deputies. Prior to me taking office last year, there were 4 deputies before, and they were full-time, and I got switched to 3 full-time and 1 part-time because one of the employees were sick, and they asked a part-time person that had been there before to come in and fill. So I've actually kept it the same from 2018. On the line items, part of that $107,912, it got moved. There was an $87,830 budget for my full-time office deputies. That was for 3. And then I had a 1 part-time that was for $20,082. So that kept my number the same at the $107,912. And what I want to do this year is actually keep that number exactly the same, but I'm also wanting to increase the hourly rates of my 3 full-time office deputies and decreasing the part-time budget that I have. Let's see what we got. So what I'm proposing is, and for the 2019 budget, I had a $87,830 budget for full-time deputies. I'm wanting to increase that to $92,601.60. However, on the part-time, I'm wanting to decrease it to $15,310.40, and that's from $20,082. So that keeps my numbers exactly the same, $107,912. And I guess I've got with some help, I've got a breakdown of what I'm wanting to do with my 3 full-time deputies. Is that something that y'all are wanting me to discuss?
Sure.
Okay, so I have clerk 1, and currently she is making $12.08 an hour, and I'm wanting to do an across-the-board raise for each of my 3 at $2 an hour. So that's going to put her at $14.08 an hour. Clerk number 2, and that clerk number 1, she's been there 2 years, or it'll be 2 years as of next year. Clerk number 2 is currently making I'm sorry, clerk number 2, that's my chief deputy. She's currently making $13.96 an hour. And with the $2 raise, that's going to bring her up to $15.96. That's for an employee that's been working for Titus County for almost 16 years. And clerk number 3, she's making $12.48 an hour, and I'm wanting to increase her salary to $14.48 an hour. And that's for a clerk that's been there for almost 5 years, I believe. I think my department, just from doing some budget analysis and some salary analysis, they've been underpaid compared to the other departments or other offices. So part of what I was wanting to do, I've got just keep that same number, the 107,912, increase my full-time deputies, decrease my part-time. My current part-time employee, she's working no more than I think 29 hours a week. And I'm going to keep it to where she works between 20 to 22 hours a week. I've been here 6 months, and we've managed just fine with the 3 full-time and a part-time, and that's even during busy jury times, jury selections, and other times. And by doing so, I don't know if we can just jump to another line item, but it's not one that I filled in. But the 2019 budget had it for hospital insurance for $60,000. That's from what I understand, $12,000. The county pays $12,000 for each employee a year. But by moving it down to that 3 full-time and 1 part-time, that decreases the county's part to $48,000. So that's going to save the county $12,000 off of the budget. So not only am I keeping the office salaries the exact same, but also saving the county $12,000 off of that. R&M reimbursement, I don't have a number on that. But that do you know what that was taken out for, Carl? By chance, was that? That's added in. Okay.
Probably that's from your records management, that's probably some money she used to help cover some.
Right. Meals, I'm not asking for any money for meals. And then jumping on down to office expense, I want to keep my number at $10,000 the same as my 2019 budget. However, this year I've only used $3,600 of it, so just in case I need it. The computer expense, I'm not asking for computer expense. No jury supply money. Travels and seminars, I'd like to keep it at the $5,200. However, the last conference I went to, I was able to actually recover some of that money back.
How many trainings per year does TAC pay for you?
That was my training seminar in January, and I'm not sure about that exact, how many they pay, but they actually offered, some money back, and all we had to do is fill out a form, and I filled that form out. They mailed a check back, but my expense was for the cost of the actual seminar, and hotels actually reimbursed the county. I'm not sure of the exact number back, but it was most of the money that was used for the county. So
Yeah, they snapped it back at that number. That's $1,016.
right. And there are a couple of opportunities a year for me to go to for conferences. I have to have some mandatory continuing education hours. I know this upcoming year there's a CGIS conference where me and another employee have to go to that. I'm not sure of the cost, but I anticipate it's going to be well under the $5,200.
So you don't know how many trips, like TAC pays for 2 of my trainings. You don't know how many they pay of yours?
I'm not sure about that. I'll do my best to attend anything that might be local. If Tyler has a local conference, that's a day trip and paying for the fees. But they had the
call TAC and find out for a district clerk how many of the training opportunities that you have each year would be reimbursed. Like I get $750. I would assume it's the same for you, but I don't know if they do or don't pay for any of yours.
And it was almost a surprise. I don't want to say a surprise, but when I got there, they said they were actually during that January conference, they were actually able to get us a reimbursement back. They gave us the forms. So I don't know if that's something that I would have known in
Well,
advance,
there's,
but I
there's
can.
grants available.
Right.
That's what pays for mine.
Right.
Just ask them. In other words, we're trying to plan your travel.
Right.
You know, figure out how many of those trips, the ones that they will pay for, you ought to go to.
Right.
Now, in my opinion, I think Deborah took an awful lot of travel and seminar trips. That's my opinion.
Right.
More than was necessary, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I don't know how important all of those are. You know, I'd like to know how many of these trips do you anticipate you'll take? How many of them, if any, will TAC reimburse you for?
Okay, I'll find out. And there's only, I think it's 20 hours a year that I have to have. So that's, if there's anything local, I'll be glad to take that. But the conference is once a year. That's usually, 4 or 5 hour trip in several days. So, but that last one cost $1,000, and was that right, 1,016?
Yeah,
So,
I don't know what the two numbers were. I mean,
right.
and what they charged and what they paid you back.
They reimbursed me
Well,
quite a bit.
How many travel trips did you make for training?
One.
Just one? Okay. And there's no more for the rest of this year?
That they had one that just occurred. I didn't go to it. I don't think there's any more.
Now, the rest of this year, they'll be September 30th.
Right, and I don't think that.
We got $5,000 budgeted here. If that's
Right.
way too much, we don't need to leave that in there.
Well, you can see in 18, they used 5307.
Right, and this
Yeah,
year,
like
this year
I
I do,
said.
this year I do have a CGIS conference, and I need to actually. I'm not sure what all that details, but I'm sure it's an out of town trip, and 2 separate hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm not gonna share a hotel room, but
Yeah.
You plan every year going to your
right.
district clerk
There's that one.
once a year.
The winter conference, that's once a year. They give you some updates and some classes, things like that I think are necessary. But other than that,
Okay.
I just need to plan on that one winter conference and this CGIS conference.
Plan on that one. Ask TAC how much, if any, they pay for, and find out about the CGIS conference.
Okay.
Let's try to quantify this and cut
Okay.
it back if we can.
The dues and bonds, I can actually, after putting the 1,500 there, I can actually decrease, if y'all want to go and decrease that.
Yeah, we do.
But let's put,
You're the only one bonded, right?
right, but my bond's paid for 4 years for my term. There is, now it says dues and bonds, so I do have dues for the County and District Clerk Association. That's, I think, 125. So I at least need that
Why don't we
much.
cut it down to 500?
5, that sounds good.
And we know that every 4 years, you've got to
Yeah.
pay that big one.
In fact, just if you want to put it down to 250, that'll be plenty.
Now, put it at 500 in
Okay.
case there's other dues that you've got to pay. I know you got to pay that bond. Let's don't cut it too tight.
Okay. And as far as errors and omissions, 0, capital outlay 0, and that's, doesn't need to go through the other.
Any office equipment you're planning on, is that included in your office expense?
That's going to be included in office expense, but what I've had to done, especially when I took office at first, there wasn't a scanner in my office, so instead of spending that $1,000 to get a brand new scanner, there was one sitting unused in a JP office. I went and used it. So I want to try to use as much resources that we have that we're not using versus buying something new. So
Yeah, always check with K-Bro, because the JPs generate a lot of technology money, and they typically
Right.
replace theirs fairly often, and
And he has technology money too.
he has technology money, but not near as much.
No.
A couple of thousand or something.
And from what I understand, our computer system's, a year or 2 years old. It's a pretty new, we've gotten some newer computers, but that's before my time, so I don't.
Okay, well, let's focus in on these salary requests here. You've been given back, Commissioners, your hourly wage detail that she gave us yesterday, and, if you want to look there on comparable departments and see how Marcus compares in relationship there, that'll kind of give you an idea as to, where he's at in comparison.
I don't know, given the increase in those people that you wanted to increase their hourly rate, how much can you go over those again?
Okay.
Second to the back.
All right.
Why was the dirt thick?
Steve Agan came to us yesterday, basically the same rationale, eliminating part-time, increasing, and, you know, like when we discussed this a couple of weeks ago, you and Carl and I, it's kind of difficult, it's difficult for us to carve out special situations like this.
Right.
I think that you will see that, in my opinion, Marcus's folks are underpaid in comparison to comparable departments. So I think there is justification for some adjustment here. Question is, how much, if any, are you think it would be reasonable? What's your staffing right now? Do you is your part-time person working about what right now?
Anywhere between, I mean, there's been a couple of weeks where she's taken off. Some weeks have been 15, 20 hours. Some weeks she's worked the full 20, I think 29 and a half hours. So, and I'm looking at just bringing that down to 20 to 22 hours.
Lowering it down.
Yeah, just decreasing the part-time budget. And we have, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, they really don't have any extra. They've been doing it for a year and something. I have a full-time criminal clerk, and really her busiest time is during, criminal court or docket call, but that's stuff that I step in and help also. The other two work the civil side. I have one that works e-filing, another that just kind of helps between everybody. And I don't think it's an overabundance of work, actually. It's not I don't think anybody has just been overwhelmed with 3 full-time and a part-time versus 4 full-time, so. But I figured this was a good way to actually get my employees up to where they need to be or where they deserve to be, keep the budget the same on that part, and actually save the county some money on the hospital insurance. So,
well, where they need to be and where they deserve to be, that's kind of a relative term. I mean, I think every department head would argue, what their staff needs and deserves. I think that your best argument is, hey, look at where my rates are in comparison, say, to the clerk's office, to other JP clerk positions and such. And I think that you've got some room in there. I don't know that we can go that whole distance, but because again, it does make it difficult when you tell other departments, oh, well, no, you can't do the same thing.
right.
And how do we know what is fair, what do they deserve, what is the right rate for a position based on the time that they have been in that position? But I agree, there is some room here. I'd like these guys to kind of look at that, see what they
It
think
makes
they
me
might
nervous
do.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It makes me nervous when we can do without a part-time. All of a sudden, we can do without it. Why hadn't we been doing without it before? Have we been trying to operate efficiently, or we think if we give these people $2 more an hour, they can do more? I'm really against that kind of thinking, and I think it's wrong. People are people, and we need to give them what they would make anywhere else, or could be competitive.
What was the staffing in that office 2 years ago? Do you know?
There was 4 full-time employees, and from what I understand, one of them had cancer, was sick.
4 full-time plus the clerk?
Correct.
Okay. Was that in place for several years, 4 full-time?
I believe so.
Okay, so who first cut it back to 3.5?
That was in the 2018.
Okay.
That's back when one of the employees, they were sick. They ended up passing, but that employee was out. And so the clerk from before, or Miss Abston, actually brought in an employee that had retired from the county to come back and work part-time. So when I began in 2019, I actually retained all of the employees, the 3 full-time and the part-time. I've kept it the same way. I told the employees before they're all welcome to stay. They've done me a great job, and I think it's worked efficiently as it's working right now.
So what's changed in the workload from 2 years ago to now? I mean, I know you don't have a good full understanding because you weren't here 2 years ago, but in your opinion, how do we go from 4 full-time employees down to 3 and just barely a part-time now? Has some of the processes changed? Have they just gotten more efficient, or were we just probably overstaffed back then?
I mean, I have very efficient employees. I mean, one has been there 16 years. So obviously she knows her job down to a T. I have another one that's been there almost 5 years. She does civil and e-filing. She knows her job to a T. I have one that she's been there 2 years, and she is awesome. I mean, she's one of those that fills in every, if she needs to jump from one spot to help in another spot, because we have weeks that are very slow, and then during jury time, that's when it's a hectic short period. But I mean, I have some very efficient. My part-time person had retired from the county, and she's back here. So, I mean, it's just efficient as it's working right now.
So from 2 years ago to now, everybody has just taken on a little more work to go from 4 down to 3.5.
I'm not sure if anybody's taken on any more work. I mean, they're more efficient. They're experienced, and I can tell you from experience, I'm 6 months in this, and I don't know a percentage of what I'd like to know. This is a learning, this is a learning thing. So you can't just take anybody off the street and say, "Here's your computer. Start, get to work." There's so many things.
Well, we're trying to answer Al's question: is how do you go from 4 here down to 3, and I'm going to go from 4 down to 3, but I want to take that 4th person's money and split it between these 3. Help us understand how that happens. I mean, why not go ahead and go down to 2 and pay them even more? I mean, where's the right number of people here? And is it right to take all that money that you're saving by eliminating personnel that maybe didn't need to be there in the first place? I don't know. Maybe the processes were more, maybe there was more manual work that was done, and maybe we've changed the processes and made it more efficient. But again, how do we go from 4 down to 3.5? I think is what he's asking.
A 15% increase in pay is pretty high. If we could do without they've been doing the same job, and everybody else, we probably would have to give all employees a cost of living raise. But 15% is a real steep to me.
And just looking from the employee, the analysis that I've looked at before, and I've given it to Carl before, I think my department's actually, underpaid from, compared to the other departments. And so I'm just trying to get it up towards at least an even playing field. I had one employee that had the opportunity, to apply at the city, because obviously they start out a little bit more, and I don't think I would lose somebody over $1 more an hour. But when there's a $3 an hour difference, $4 an hour difference to someone that's living paycheck to paycheck, that's a big difference. And I think we have some valuable assets in our offices. One that's been there 2 years, one that's been there 5, and one that's been there 16. My 16-year employee is only making $13.96 an hour. That's after 16 years.
You need to brag on yourself a little bit here. I think that you're running it more efficient with the 3 employees. I like what you're doing on that. And so you need to take credit for that. You're running that good. Those girls are working hard, and I can see that with some of our pay we've been paying per office, yes, they do need a little bit of a raise. So
what you might do, John, it's one thing by we've saved $12,000 by not having insurance on a fourth person. You might look at something like what you did yesterday. I mean, I don't know that you could go 15%. I mean, that's going to be a problem for some of the other employees probably and the elected officials. But you know, anything's a start. Anything's an improvement.
Right.
Whatever we can come up with.
How long has your longest employee been here? Say 16?
The hired 16 years. The hire date was October 13th of 2003.
She's been here.
About 15 years. And
Marcus, I see, like on number 1 going to 13, and number 2 going to 1550, and number 3 going to 1350.
Okay, number 1 was what again? I'm sorry.
13. Say,
No, he's suggesting go from $12.08 up to $13 even.
and clerk number 2 from 1396 to 1550. Clerk 3, 1248 to 1350.
I think that puts them in a comparable position based on, we've got a list of all the hourly salaries, Marcus, for everybody right here that you don't necessarily, that you don't have access to. And so we're able to kind of look and compare. And I like what John has suggested here. It's not your full amount, but at least it gets your chief up there to 1550, which is comparable for a chief position. Right. It gets your two-year person there, you know, up to 13, which is reasonable for a 2-year, tenured person. And then it gives, you know, it gets you up to 1350 on that 5-year person.
Now, will I have to decrease my part-time as much still? Because that was kind of figured in with the budget I did. Or is that something where I can kind of bring back up my part-time?
We want to pay for what's needed.
Right.
We don't want to pad anything, and we don't want to overpay anything. We want to pay for what's, needed.
20 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, that's 1,040 hours roughly, so $13, that's 1336, that's gonna be about $14,000.
Okay.
From what you've said, I think that's where you want to go with that position anyways, down to 20 hours, and maybe even
Right.
less eventually.
Right.
Now I don't know how long she's gonna work. She's retired already.
I need to point out to you, we have a 4-man crew, each one of the commissioners. We have guys that are excellent, very talented. The other guys are hardworking, but they don't have a lot of talent. They can't drive a motor operate equipment like we have others. So to try to put all these people in one category is absolutely wrong. The reason this lady may be, I don't know how much ability she's got, been there 15 years. All that has to be considered before we just throw money around like it's not ours. It's taxpayers' money, so I think we need to take that into consideration when we start throwing money around, $2 an hour for everybody. Well, you know, this person may be a good reason why they or make less in 13 years. Just to put a figure on it, we're going to do it to everybody in the county? I mean, everybody in the county should have the same opportunity as you got. So I disagree with John completely.
I've just got it within my I've used my budget. I've kind of
No, he cut one, he's gone down to 3 full-time instead of 4.
And I'm saving the county money by,
Okay.
He's running it pretty efficient.
Have you worked in that office?
And I'm just looking at what we're paying other offices here,
Well, I
you know.
have too. I've looked at them too, and we're very close to being in line. We won't be after your increase, in my opinion. We'll be above everybody else.
Well, I think these are critical positions over there. The district clerk runs a high volume of very important stuff through that office.
you know, one thing that we do take in money from passports. I think our numbers have increased this year. I don't know if Carl has the figures on that, but for passports, it's over 40,000 for the year, and that's for something that the district clerk's office doesn't. You know, it's just a courtesy to the citizens but it's added to our general fund. There's also other opportunities that I've looked into. That's as far as taking our own passport photos. We can generate an extra $10 per photo. Also, having one of our clerks becoming a notary. I don't know what that would entail, how we can charge for that or not, but we have people that come in, you know, even today ask to get things notarized. So there are other revenue generating opportunities that we have.
Commissioners, listen, you've heard opinions here. What do y'all want to add to this conversation?
Well, you got a 16-year employee, you know, that's, you know, not making near what she should be making. And, you know, and she's pretty well, she's been here 16 years, she pretty well knows what she's doing.
Right.
I'm assuming that Marcus knows what her capabilities are.
You hate to lose somebody.
Well, you hear what he's suggesting. He's asked for $2 for each of these 3 positions. John has suggested the chief's position go to a $1.50 increase, and the other 2 positions go basically a $1.
I think that whole department in general has just been behind the times on keeping up with everybody else as they were giving raises through the years or something. I don't know why a couple of those positions was a little low, in my opinion. So,
could you live with what John is suggesting? Jimmy, you okay with that?
I think so, yeah.
Well, it's a negotiation deal. We don't know why these positions have historically maybe been suppressed,
Right.
but it is what it is. And what we're trying to do is balance fairness and not set a precedent where other departments can, you know, reduce staff and pay more to the rest of the staff.
Right.
That just doesn't seem logical to me.
Right.
But here, I think that gets your chief up to a respectable chief's pay, and I think that $1 is, you know, 7-8% raise is pretty good in a year where there could possibly not be raises across the board.
I agree.
So if you can live with that, it sounds like you've got support here.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so why don't you take this worksheet, redo the math for Carl based on those?
You don't have to, I've got it,
You got it now, he's got the worksheet. All right, so you're going to, on clerk 1, you're going to 13. On clerk 2, you're going to 1550. On clerk 3, 1350.
Right, and I'm gonna budget the part-time at the 1336 times 20 hours a week.
I think we had it figured out the most. Well, it was 22 hours, but we were advised to, at least say 20 hours, so that way it doesn't. Is that?
Well, if I budget it at 20, I mean, that's where we'll be. If you need 22, I need to use 22.
It needs to be at least 22,
Okay, I'll use 22.
because that's the figure that we had for the.
And you just have to,
Here's that.
you just have to hold on to that.
go up,
That's that
make
back
it
for
an
22.
even dollar, so it'd be 1308 and 1348 for clip 3.
Well, the only thing you're doing there, John, that third one has been there 5 years.
I know it.
And
What are your thoughts on that?
There's only going to be 50 cents difference between them. I mean, you're basically giving the one that's been there 2 years, you know, a bigger percentage raise
What
than
do y'all
giving
think
the one
on
that's been there 5 years.
5 years.
I was okay with the 1350 is what I was okay
3
with.
years difference in them. Just go with that.
Okay, 13.
Well, and that
15,
situation can easily arise when you go through multiple years of no raises like we did. You come along and hire a new person in a year that there's been a raise. That scenario can occur.
So keep the numbers the same?
So it's 13, 15, 50, and 13, 50. So we're going to stay with it. And
Anything
22
else,
hours-
Marcus?
22 hours a week on part-time.
Okay.
And I'm going to cut the hospital insurance down by one person.
And I think that's gonna be a pretty substantial savings, and plus I don't dig into my budget unless I need to, so.
All right, well, we appreciate you asking. We appreciate you listening to our side as well. We'll check on those travel stuff, so we can maybe tweak that number a little bit.
Okay.
We're not asking you to cut out good, necessary training. Let's just try to budget for a reasonable amount of training
Right.
and get anything we can get from tax.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, Joan, sorry we're running behind.
Oh, yeah, he can, well, he can,
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not really asking for any increases in anything. As you can see, in the years past, I have not exceeded my budget in any way. Some years, I do not even use some money from certain line items that are, I consider those like little safety nets in case something does occur. But on the main budget, I'm not asking for any kind of increases.
All right, that's it.
And on the technology budget, I think that's fine. I haven't used any in the last, this year and the past year. There haven't been any expenses. I had to buy a laptop and a new printer a couple of years ago for court out of this money. On my vital statistics money, I expect a large increase. This is only like for money that I submitted to the court through May 31st. These amounts, and they're right on target. But January the 1st, the DPS has required that all new driver's license, when you apply, you must provide a certified birth certificate, and we probably sold 100 birth certificates that were mainly just for.
Gone into effect already?
Yes, June the 1st. However, none of that money is reflected in here because these figures are as of May 31st.
How much does each one generate?
Let's see, $1 goes into this fund. $1.80 goes to the state, so that would be $20.20 goes into the general fund. That's going to increase my revenue quite a bit for the year because we probably sold at least 100 last month just for the purposes of people getting their driver's license.
So tell me again, who has to provide a birth certificate?
Each person when you renew your driver's license, you must provide a certified birth certificate. That presents a problem for people who are out of state, who were born out of state.
Can you not do it online anymore?
You can do it online, but if you apply through the state of Texas, it takes about 8 weeks to get your birth certificate.
No, I mean, can you not renew your driver's license online?
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Are you just talking about like the
Every 4 years?
you have to have a
It's
fixture
a
rate?
big deal. A lot of people can't put their hands on it first.
That's the reason she sold it.
That's why I've sold so many.
My wife had to get one for
So,
her
I mean,
nursing deal.
it's not something I have
Oh, I understand.
created,
I'm just
you
saying,
know.
I've never heard of this. That's it.
Yep. But, so, that's kind of a good thing for, and I sell abstract birth certificates, which are state birth certificates, which the DPS will take. If you were born anywhere in the state of Texas, a lot of them are the abstracts. So, and those generate the same kind of revenue that the local do.
I mean, this could double or triple. Double.
It could really increase. I don't know how much yet. I'll have to look at my budget.
You said you sold 100 since when? June 1?
Since June the 1st, probably, for birth certificates.
What's a typical month?
Oh, we didn't have to sell any for DPS birth, I mean, for,
Compared to what? Compared to
You're saying you sold 100 just to DPS?
just for birth certificates to renew your driver's license.
What was it in May, for example?
Well, I don't have those figures.
What's your
I
guess?
just know that there's a significant increase.
Double, triple, what do you think? Yeah.
Double.
Double.
It will increase quite a bit this summer but that's normal for school, yes.
All right. Anything else then?
No, on the archive fee, the state legislature, it was, the archive fee in 2013 was $5 and they increased it to $10. It was supposed to have expired September the 1st, 2019, and they extended that. So it's going to still be $10. So this is going to stay the same. This is not going
How
to
long will they extend that for?
forever. So, or until they repeal it.
They made it permanent until they change.
Yeah, it's and as far as my records management, I would like for the salary to stay there. You can see that I didn't use that much of it last year, but I did the year.
What page are you on?
On the records management, it's gonna be
On the
like
records
next-
management, it's
next to
the
last
next to last page.
108.
Yes.
109.
I have hired a part-time again, which the budget, you can see, it's just, she just worked part of May, or well, really all of May. And so that's just beginning again, and I won't come anywhere near the 14,000 for the year. But I'd like for it to stay that way. I'd like to be able to continue to keep that part-time person.
Being paid out of records management money.
Yes, that's the records management.
But, so you plan to have a part-time person there more in the new budget year than you did in the current budget?
Yes.
All right, I don't have any questions.
Looks good to me.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
You got a rock.
Okay. That,
Do you have Paul's birth certificate in there?
Trouble getting your license.
It's a rock bag with a rock.
Trying to get you another mule.
Carl has to bring us, I want to see him. I want to see Paul.
thank you all. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Carl's in the rock bag.
Okay, Brian?
I'm waiting on Chris to get here. Could I switch with Mr. Austin?
You're waiting on who to get here? Christie? Okay. Sure. Yeah, Steve.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners. Get my eyeglasses out. What I handed out to you was the fiscal year 2018 VA expenditure sheet that we send out every year. At the bottom, put an X by Titus County. Number of veterans. This is on the active rolls receiving VA benefits, 1,580. Total expenditures, these are in hundreds of thousands, so it's $10,716,000 in expenditures into the county. Compensation and pension, $6,114,000 was brought into the county.
When you say brought into the county, these are governmental benefits paid to veterans.
Paid to veterans or their surviving.
What's the difference in an expenditure and a compensation and pension? What's in expenditures?
Total expenditure is what the VA paid. That's the expenditure from the VA to these individuals.
But does that include compensation and pension, or that's in addition to it?
That's the total expenditure. Compensation and pension are part of that total expenditure.
Okay, so the 6 is included in the 10.
Yes.
And the part that's over and above compensation and pension is what, medical benefits, or what is that?
There's a category at the next to the last, medical care. That's $4,197,000.
Okay.
Those were benefits paid into recipients who would have had the ability to disperse that then throughout the county, paying for doctors or in-home care. Again, these are reference points so that the county can understand what revenues the veterans themselves and that population have available to expend back within the county. I also reviewed some of the files since our last meeting in last year. To this point in time, the service officer and the Historical Commission have provided 110 monthly written reports to the Commissioners Court. The Talon newsletter, which we send out electronically, so there's not a paper trail cost associated with that. It's in volume 9, which each year there's a new volume. So this is volume 9, issue 29. It's one a week. The information to update veterans in the area. Another program that we have is the Titus County Historical Commission Merit Awards. That's made possible through assistance with Preferred Manufacturing, who provides us with, I don't know if you've seen on the black metal plaque, there's one out here on World War I and others around the county. We have 50 of those that we've either presented, approved, or nominated recipients for. And the estimated cost of that is $150 a piece, but Preferred makes those available to us at no charge in order to help the Historical Commission and the Veteran Service Office. Another program that we have in place is a tour that we're trying to work with the Historical Commission and the Chamber of Commerce. The Gold Star markers out here, the monuments around the courthouse square, the Blue Star marker that we dedicated at North End, the historical highways that are coming into place around the county, as well as there's a marker for Korean veterans at out north of town near Tranquil Cemetery that placing a marker on. But we have 50 of those to date, and more are planned to distribute. One of the items in the past that the the county had had an expenditure for the office was training. The Texas Veterans Commission has modified its activities. As you'll note, in the previous year, we did not have a training expense. That was handled by many conferences within the region. Texas Veterans Commission has divided itself up into multiple regions, and our director of the Northeast Texas region, Ms. Paula Taylor, worked with me to establish a mini training at North Texas Community College so that area veteran service officers came to NTCC to get training, and we hope to conduct those on a more regular basis, more than one a year, so they can receive training through that, which almost eliminate, in my case especially since we host, any cost for training or mileage or reimbursement expenses. Also, last year, we had received an additional income from Red River County for acting as service officer for their veterans. As a result of that, we had communications with Lamar County and Bowie County, since Red River County had no VSO. Rather than Titus County take on the full responsibility of assisting Red River County veterans, Lamar County has agreed to accept Red River County veterans, and so has Bowie County. In the past, Lamar County had turned veterans away, actually locked their door, and if you didn't have an appointment, you wasn't getting in. When Titus County stepped up and took on that task for a couple of months, Lamar County changed their mind. They've opened their doors and are willing to assist Red River County veterans, and so is Bowie County, which has benefited everybody. So we're no longer the representative for Red River County. That extra $200 was in the kitty, and we'll be retaining the income from Franklin County, so we'll have a positive $1,200 a month, or $1,200 a year, $100 a month into Titus County revenue sources. I don't anticipate any additional expenditures above and beyond what's been the norm. As far as computers and gear, had some issues with some of the equipment, but that's been handled by hand-me-downs through K-Pro, and they've been handy to assist, and that expense is negligible, so I don't anticipate any technological increases in expenditures for the office. Continue with office supplies such as paper and printer ink. It's about all I need. Mileage and compensation. I attend Franklin County anywhere from 1 to 6 times a month at individual appointments or going to nursing home. All that expense is on me. I don't charge the county for that. So we're moving along, plugging away. In the past couple of months, I've been dealing with a health issue, and my flexible schedule of 15 hours a week, I've been able to adjust and modify. So my days have changed periodically as need be for my treatment and recovery. But I'm doing good. All is well. And thank y'all for your prayers and consideration. And we're still been able to keep the office open 15 hours a week, just using some different days and some different time frames. But all is good.
All righty. Any questions for Steve?
I have one individual, Mr. Tony McNatt, heard about the budget meeting. He wanted to come forward and make a statement to the Commissioners Court if that's possible.
He has no credibility, though. But I'll let him talk. Welcome, Tony. I wondered why you were here.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to say thanks to Brother Steve Austin. he's helped me in a number of ways. I'm the fiduciary of my mom's finances, who my dad served in the Navy, and because of that, my mom gets a check. But because of her health and because she can't see and she can't hear and a lot of other different scenarios that goes on, the veterans made me in charge of her monies. And I just wanted to share just one of the things that Steve has helped me with, because he's helped me with a number of things. And if it was not for Steve being here, I would either have to go, well, the last time that I talked to somebody, I was going to have to travel to Houston to get anything done. And so when I told him, I said, well, hey, look, I know a guy named Steve Austin here that I've worked with. Oh, yeah, we know him. He's a VOS person there, and he's right there in Mount Pleasant. So not only did it save me lots of miles, but because of Steve's wisdom and knowledge that he has in all of this, he came to my school and sat down with me, because I had received this letter right here that says, we have overpaid your mom $9,900, nearly $10,000 is what they said. So I called Steve up and I said, hey man, I've got a jam. I said, they're telling me I'm going to have to pay this money back. And I said, I need some help. So Steve came over to the school. We went through all of my stuff, and he said, man, you got all the records that you need. He says, just write them a letter, a waiver. And he helped me with this letter that I sent to them. And then the next thing that happened was I got this letter that says, we are happy to inform you that your request of your waiver and the debt that you said that, or that we said that we said that you owed, has been forgiven and has been liquidated. So because of his help and because of other things that he's done, I mean, I have all of this paperwork here just over this one letter. So, and he helped me fill out all the forms. He helped me do all of the things that I needed to do to be able to relinquish that debt of nearly $10,000. And I just wanted to say thank you to Brother Steve and for you guys for allowing him to be a part of our county, because I'm just one veteran out of all of the other veterans that I know that Brother Steve has helped. So,
and your dad served as your dad
my dad served in the Navy during
World War II. Yeah. And tell us about what you did and your son as well.
Okay, I served in the Air Force during Vietnam, 6 years. I have a son that served in the Navy for 4 years. And then I have a son that served in the Marine Corps for 14 years.
And what's he doing now?
Jonathan is, you're not going to believe this, but he works for a company that they climb these tires where you change out the light bulbs in them for airplanes and stuff. So he does that, but he also works for a cell company where they go up and they change out the cell tires or their antennas and all of that. In fact, just recently he was in Louisiana, and a wind came up and blew him off the tire, and had he not been harnessed right, he would be 6 foot under the grade. Yeah.
Well, I wondered if he was still.
He's still doing dumb things.
Well, I mean,
I don't know why he don't go get a job where he can stay on the ground, but he's.
Was he a drill sergeant?
Yes, he was. Or drill instructor.
Drill instructor. Okay.
Yeah. In the Marine Corps, they're called drill instructors.
Okay.
Yeah, he did that and that's the only time that he was here in the States. He did that for 3 years. He was a year and a half in Paris Island, a year and a half in San Diego. My two sons were in the military before 9/11 took place, and so my wife actually watched the 5th Division 1st Marines march across the border because they had a reporter embedded with them, and called me up. And said, I'm just telling you, I'm watching our son and his group go across the border right after 9/11 had taken place. And so he spent most of his career either in Afghanistan or Iraq. And mentioned about prayer, Jonathan is suffering from PTSD. He had to shoot a lot of little kids. In fact, the first one he shot, he called me when he could. And I said, Jonathan, I didn't have to do that. I said, I never pointed my weapon at nobody. I said, I had other guys protecting us because I said, you can't load bombs and rockets and missiles and shoot at the same time. I said, so other guys were protecting us while we were loading up the planes, and they would take off, go drop their sorties, come back, and we'd reload them. But anyway, so I had a friend of mine, though, that served in the Navy SEALs during Vietnam, named Lee Fritz. And Steve may know him. And Lee, so I hooked him up to talk to Lee, but Lee was one of those guys that unless you were a real good friend, you never knew that he was a Navy SEAL. He'd just say, I served in the Navy. But Jonathan and Daniel both were they were both shipped out right after 9/11 had taken place. So they were getting ready to send him back to Afghanistan because he wanted to make a career out of it. But he called me up and he says, I'm done, Dad. I can't do this no more. He said, I've done all I can do. And so, but he worked on, he was, they went from house to house. He also was on a convoy with Humvees and shot the M50 off of the turret of the Humvees. And then they put him in a helicopter, and he started doing helicopter convoys. And so he's had a pretty extensive firefight a lot. And so he was, when they were getting ready to send him back to Afghanistan, he said, I can't do this no more. So he got out. But thanks for asking.
Well, I knew him when he was a little kid, both those guys. And, to see what Jonathan ended up doing from where he was when just a kid was amazing.
Judge Lee knows my family pretty well, and he knows what Jonathan, it was a lot of, Jonathan didn't make a lot of good decisions, but the one good one that he did is when he went into the Marine Corps, because that really helped him. That really helped him.
Well,
but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a scenario of what Brother Steve does to help us out. And just me personally, I can't tell you the number of times I've been over here, and he's helped bail me out of a lot of things, especially this $10,000 debt that just happened recently, that I just got this letter.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you and your family.
Steve. Good job.
Thank you for your family and you, sir.
Okay, Brian. Bring an assistant.
Sure.
Okay, you have no other changes. What's happening with your telephone here?
Okay, back years ago, when we did the juvenile, the state needed your local funding to reach spend at least $65,000. That was the threshold, and so for several years, we didn't make that back then. So Jill wanted to show, it's kind of redundant, but all this, the telephone comes out of the general non-departmental, but she wanted to show that it was in her general budget. So what we did is we had the $1,450. I would do a journal entry to reimburse. It was kind of ridiculous, but she just wanted to see it in her department. Well, now we don't have that issue, and it just needs to go away because you're paying juvenile telephone out of, along with your other telephone for the
You're talking about just the desk telephone?
Yes.
Southwestern Bell
Yes,
Service.
but she wanted it separated out for the state to see that out of hers, they're seeing it when we report it, and now we don't have a problem meeting that 65, so.
It just affects that one line.
Yes, and it's going away, we don't need it.
Okay.
So we're asking for less money.
What?
Yeah,
We're asking for less.
So, kind of crazy, isn't it?
All right, anything we need to know about what you guys do upstairs?
Well, we cover 4 counties. We're the 276 Judicial District Juvenile Probation. We have Camp, Morris, Marion, and Titus. I have 4 officers. They all work out of Titus. Each individual officer has their own outlying satellite office,
And we take care of all the kiddos that get arrested and refer to us either by law enforcement or schools, age 10 to 17 years old. Right now, you turn 17, they're considered adults. And we dodged another year this year of it moving up to 18.
So that did not happen?
That did not happen. But Senator Wu is pushing for it again in 2 years. So we're hoping it doesn't ever happen. We want to stay at 10 to 17.
Yes, we sure do. Okay. We won't belabor it. We thank you for coming and
Well, we appreciate y'all's time.
bringing
Thank
your
y'all.
assistance.
Appreciate you. How you been, man?
Okay, James Webster was here.
He's coming right back in the door. I hope he is.
We showed up and didn't let him.
That's why I took money. Well, I'll write it.
No, put that in.
James, do I have a budget sheet from you?
You should have.
There's no change.
There's no change. It's
Just a single sheet.
It's in fancy hand.
Don't
Well,
do
I
that,
know,
man.
but I
Don't start
see it in
that.
my staff.
That's right.
Yeah, like my wife, she's still trying to match.
doctor's
She's trying to
right.
match it. She ain't gonna be able to do it. She ain't gonna be able to do it.
There it is, I see it. I got it. What do we need to know, James?
I don't know what you want to know. Listen. I didn't bring no special guests like Mr. Steve. So you know, we pray that the job we've done for y'all is good enough. You understand? I didn't bring no help with me. So, and I work with these people that sit at this table. So there you go.
Do you ever go to a travel or seminar situation?
I didn't last year. I believe I did the year before last. So I may try to go to one this year. I may try to go to one. If not, I'll go to one next year. There's just not really many, well, most of them that's out there that will relate to me is more towards their field. It's more like an auditor's deal. So there's not really a per se business manager deal out there. Because, you know, I'm not considered a purchasing agent. But I do purchasing agent things. So.
You spent nothing on mileage reimbursement?
No, that was because that one year my truck was down a lot, and so I was using my personal truck. And so I guess they just moved money over there for that reason.
I can just take that off. You drive the truck?
Yes. I think they just took it out of the gas and put it over there for that. Is what I'm assuming.
Oh, we added it.
Yeah. But that's what that was for.
Okay. Unless you have a question or unless James has anything else to tell us.
Outside of this, just so we don't have the group text later on this week, I'll be gone the rest of this week after the day. My wife having surgery tomorrow, so I'll be out. So y'all try to hold off, okay? All right. Don't give this office no. But anyways, just try to hold off.
All right. Thank you, James.
All right.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everything goes for James.
Okay, we don't have our next appointment until 11:30. At which time Jeff will be here.
He's on vacation.
Oh, okay. Has he prepped anybody? Did he talk to any of y'all about anything that we need
lift.
Yeah. I don't know what he's wrote down. Yeah, I see it.
Did you get a bid for that?
Yes, it's a.
Talking about the maintenance budget? Yeah, he's got $15,000 in capital outlay, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
He's got, on capital outlay, where he had about 6,500, he's moved it to 15,000. So he could buy one of these truck lifts.
Yeah, he's got, in fact, he's
To
got an
pick up
estimate right
a
here.
dump truck.
We need another lift.
I think the one they got is really rinky-dink. I think it'll only do a car.
He says it'll do a 1-ton truck, and the new one's capable of lifting the 550 trucks. It's a $15,000 lift.
Of course, I don't understand us having a maintenance building fund, and then we have 4 precincts. It's just an extension of these 4 precincts. We have a budget like you have repairs, $16,000, whatever it is this year in mine, and then you have it over this general maintenance.
Well, one's a revenue and one's an expense now, but what we do is we use that central maintenance facility to do repairs on all y'all's equipment as well as the sheriff's equipment, and he charges y'all. You know, obviously we're not charging enough, and we've talked about that in the past, we're not charging enough to make it break all the way even, but it'd just be an internal thing if we did, because it'd be coming out of your budget and going into this.
Have you always done that? Charge that $35 an hour?
No, it was just implemented
It was so small, we wanted to try to get it closer to what the real cost was, so that y'all would know what you were really spending, even though you were spending with the county and stuff.
Why do we have to pay that, since the county's already paying them to be there to work on something?
Well, I said, try to let you track how much you're spending on working on your place. If I don't charge you anything, you're not gonna know how much you're spending on.
We could go to Walmart and get them worked on, same difference.
Well, that was implemented when the engineer was here. It was a one total fee at one time, just for $25 just for one fee coming in. That was all it was. And now they wanted it up to charge by the hour. When the engineer got here, they wanted it by the hour. Keep up.
When I asked Tim Ingram to go do something, or I need a patrol car somewhere to put the lights on, or there's a parade happening, I don't bill. They don't send me a bill. I don't pay them nothing. It's free because they're already here. Why ain't it the same process with the man? I'm not getting on to you. I just don't understand why we're paying for that when we're already paying for it.
Well, okay, let's think of it this way. What if all of his equipment, Jimmy's equipment was all new? He went out every year and he bought new equipment. He spent money out of his precinct, bought new equipment. So he's not having a bunch of repairs done to his. The county is paying for those guys to sit over there anyway. And if the other 3 of y'all are buying new equipment and you're the only one using used equipment, you're the only one using those guys. Is it right for the county to pay for all
If it's just me, and if it's just me and everybody had new equipment, I'd probably just send them home and do away with the whole program and just go to Walmart getting stuff worked on, Do they charge the sheriff's department too, the $35 an hour?
Yes.
It's just weird to me why we're paying that much money to pay those guys and pay everything, and then we pay them again out of our own funds to get anything done.
That was voted in for the commissioners too, though. At $35 an hour, they went along. The engineers say this.
There's no law saying we have to do that countywide.
No, it's just a way to track what you're doing.
Yeah,
if you don't want those guys, you can let them go and you can go to Walmart and get your stuff done. If that's what you're doing.
The point is $35. I don't know why we're paying twice. It's weird to me.
The point is you're trying to make
keep up with how much they're doing.
Keep with the ones that are using the service.
Yeah.
Are paying for it.
Well, they stay plenty busy anyway. To me, they're so handy. It's nice having them, and they stay plenty busy. And I don't care if they do less for me. They probably do less for me than anybody else. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Then it's not costing you anything.
You don't know what you're talking about when you say they're plenty busy.
Well, they're plenty busy just with the police cars. I mean, they stay busy.
Yeah, we used to got to do it at halftime, and now they make a full-time job. tell you what.
But we paid the man full-time, though. The man you're talking about was a full-time employee. He still got paid the same.
No, he didn't get paid the same, and he also, he was 18.
He was a driver.
We didn't have an 18-wheel driver except him.
Yes, he was a driver.
Brian, can we turn,
He hauled all the
we're
material.
freezing down here. Y'all might come?
It does seem cool. It was supposed to be on 74. Put it on 75.
Police.
Yeah.
You want me to? He did all
Right.
of it. So this
You
other
want me to
guy
pause
comes
this?
along, he does a poor job.
Till we get somebody else in?
I understand. I understand.
So they give him.
Yeah. Now we have 2 full-time mechanics.
That's right, and that's all he does. And then they send it out. Today, I got a brush hog. It's broken down a tractor. It's gonna take a computer. I'm hauling that tractor to Conroy because they gotta put a computer in. The buzzer goes off. And this is what we need is somebody to say, well, look, we gotta have them come make that decision or something to help us. That's what we've always had. But we had the unit system. We did away with the unit system, except the maintenance. And we kept all of these deals. Roger wanted to keep all of his sheriff. He didn't want to do the sheriff at all. And so that's why we went into some of that hourly pay stuff. But when you look at the precinct's budget and you look at the maintenance barn budget, it's a duplicate of the same thing. We're responsible. If we go to, if we want something done, we can send it out, we can do it, or we can have them on the payroll to tell us, I don't have the equipment. And we'd be foolish to buy a computer to handle the few tractors we have, or anything like that. It would be foolish to have it, but to have 2 men sitting around, it's everyday stuff, I can tell you. One of them's late to work all the day. They go to lunch, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever they want to, and that's okay.
Now, that's y'all's choice if you would rather outsource all of your work instead of having a maintenance.
Yeah, but you fixing to spend $100 an hour instead of
Yeah,
35
it'd be a
an
lot
hour.
higher
Wouldn't do
if we
that.
outsourced.
Saves you a lot of time.
Yeah.
I don't think
It'd be a lot
it's
higher.
any higher. I'm gonna outsource mine.
That's great, that's great.
That's going to be expensive. My question was the $35 deal.
That's right.
So it seemed like since the county's already paying for 2 full-time employees, that we shouldn't have to pay to get anything done from them. They're going to work on it if they can get to it.
What you're saying is you want the general county to fund the maintenance barn.
That's what they're
Y'all
doing
not
now.
No, they're not. They're funding part of it. Y'all are funding part of it.
There's an extension of the.
So that's helping pay their bills, that 35 from everybody, and
That's right.
Sheriff's Department's paying the grunt of it.
That's right. If you look on page 1
I
of
don't
the
use
bill where
them
the receipts are,
enough.
you'll see they bring in, the general county funds 175,000 of it. Y'all fund the rest. Not a lot, but you fund some of it.
That's to help pay for it all.
That's the help pay.
Well, it's to help
Okay.
identify where the expense burden is. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not creating a real new expense. We're trying to allocate, the expense burden on the department that's incurring that expense.
Yeah,
It's not
and
like
we
we're-
realize it's probably Sheriff's Department is the most of it, the grunt, for a lot of
Oh,
people.
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Well, we had the budgets for the last few years before we went to the unit system. 2014, it was 168,000. 2015, 197,000. This is a maintenance bar thing. 2016, it was 138,000. 2017, it was 128,000. And then 2018, when we started this system here and hired a second mechanic in there, it's 203,000 for 2018, and then the budget for 2019 is 226. Now, we hadn't used it up. That's what was budgeted. Those other numbers are actual. So we went up nearly $100,000, and we've just. And now we have 2 people sitting around the shop instead of 1.
They don't sit around now.
Oh, what do you know?
We hired another
You
guy.
don't,
look, if you
oh,
don't
you
wanna-
don't, you don't even get there in the mornings. You don't know what time.
Hey, you don't
what
need to
time
worry
you-
about
what
me
time-
and don't
I
worry
ain't
about
worried
your,
about you, but I'm
worry
telling
about
you,
your employees.
half of them are, Terry's, half the time is late, 15 or 20 minutes. They go to lunch, and stay gone for an hour and a half. They go around. They bought two the latch-on grease guns one day. Then they go back over there 2 days later and buy 2 more. This is where you grease the car, puts on a grease cert, and it hangs on there. You don't have to hold it. What are they gonna use for? They couldn't be greasing over.
They don't use for, two of them was mine.
Two of them was mine.
Two of them, well, they didn't charge it to you.
Yes,
They did charge it to me too.
Why do you, but anyway, well, y'all think they're great. I think it's the biggest waste and a rip-off of the county taxpayers there is. And I think standing around talking, this paperwork, this computer deal, it's unbelievable that a guy can go out there and do one thing. He's got to go in there and put it in the computer. I mean, I've run a shop for years. You have a piece of paper, I change the tire, change the starter, you put it in a folder. After a while, you say, it seems like I'm charging starters on this thing. That's all you need to do. You can set them in a box and do it once a week or once every few days. And it's just silly. All the manufactured work, paperwork they've created in that office is just unbelievable.
Well, let me ask you this. What, you own the trucking company.
That's exactly right.
My father owned the trucking deal.
Yes, sir.
He had a shop, and he had mechanics in his own shop that took care of his trucks. I believe it 20 trucks.
Right.
He would have outsourced all that and not had those mechanics if it wasn't cheaper for him to do it that way.
That's right.
So that's what we're saying here. Based on what we're doing, we think it's cheaper to spend the $226,000 to have them here than it is for you to outsource and send it to Sandlin or wherever, Caterpillar, or wherever you'd have to send your stuff to. Is it? If you don't think it's that way, well, y'all need to have a discussion. That's the way that I've always assumed was the reason we did it, is that it would save us money in the long run.
And
It saved my dad money, and you had a shop too, so obviously it saved you money.
It saved us money when we had one mechanic in there. And then we had another guy helping, doing the police cars. He did for years. He did the things, and then the other guy griped because he played a lot of solitary. But he still took care of the job. He did it. He made the same money that ROLLINS made.
So I guess what you're saying, it's not that you disagree with having a maintenance barn, you think we're overstaffed or something.
I do, and I think it would be nice to have a person to tell it. Like this thing, I don't know what to do with this hydraulic leak. But anyway, they said you're going to have to send it to Longview, you know what I mean, or the truck. You have to send it to Conroy, so I hauled it to Conroy this morning. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't have the equipment to do it, and we shouldn't buy it because we have too many one-of-a-kind equipment. Right. It's not the fact that we have a whole fleet of stuff, and it helps a lot. They can do a lot. They can fix a lot. They can do a lot of things.
Well, I think that what the disagreement is not having a maintenance barn. It's in your opinion, we're overstaffing the maintenance barn, and in some of their opinions, we're not. So
that's right.
That's something for y'all to look at among yourselves. But I do think the maintenance barn is.
Well, my question was the $35. I understand
Well, that's
it.
just what we're
I understand.
trying to do.
I see.
And it helps.
Pays for it. I see it. I see it. I see that. Now, we talked to Jeff about doing that computer system. If we just stopped doing that, would it? I mean, he's still going to have to write everything down on something.
Right, you have to write it. You get rid of part of it, but if you can't, just get out of it because you'll pay a penalty.
Yeah, and we're paying for it anyway, so we still got 2 more years to get that. We got to pay on it or use it.
I understand that. I was against it. I thought it was foolish
Yeah.
for us to sign a contract. I didn't realize it was for 3 years. Thought it was 1 year. But I still complained about it then. I voted against it then. I think it was foolish. I still think it's foolish. But the point is, create the work that is on the paperwork. Every time they do something, they got to go put it in the computer.
I don't think it's taking that much time doing that. I don't think it's taking any more time than putting it in a notebook, you know, like this. A lot of times when I see them, they're ordering things and waiting for somebody to call them. They're tending to business.
That's another thing. Why do you need 2 people to order it?
Sometimes it takes, they're both on the phone ordering. I mean, they're getting twice as much done because there's 2 of them.
One's on police and one's on the other side.
It's a very busy shop.
Very
really
busy.
There's a lot going on in there.
I've never been around the shop. I'm telling you, it's the biggest waste of money
And,
I've seen.
So you're going to outcast all yours now?
Huh?
You're going to outcast all yours?
Yeah, I'll outsource it. Why don't y'all gonna keep the same people on the payroll, I guess, too, if I do.
I don't care what you do. Like I said, you know, I worry about my 4 guys and my part-time guy. I don't worry about that shop. They do what they got to do. And, you know, I don't know when it's going to take that you need to worry about your guys and not worry about, you know.
What do you mean? Let me worry about that. We'll see who gets the most road fixed for the same amount of money.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, that's it. That's not my problem either, to get my equipment running, and yours is too. And I don't think that they don't ask us before we send something out. They can't fix it. Just like I've been trying to get them to look at this tractor. Terry is always too busy. They was off yesterday. They had a part-timer there. And they're sitting in the office half the time if you walk in there. They had a buzzer. You know they had a buzzer out there would ring in the office when they headed out there on the...
Just so nobody come in on them and startle them or something, or they know somebody was needing them when the buzzer went off. I have one in my shop too.
In your office? In the office? They had it in the office?
I had one in my office and I had one in my shop out there so nobody come in on me when I was working.
One in the shop, I could understand.
But I don't have one now. That was when I was in my own business.
But they don't have
So that buzzer ain't no big deal.
So if you're under the truck, you didn't know where, you know, you have parts coming in and all that. You under the truck or under the car changing oil.
Okay. You already got your mind made up. I think you're dead wrong, but that's okay.
So what are they? They're asking for a AC machine. What is that? Something for charging vehicles?
Yes, you got to have certified to be certified to do that. On the instead of sending them to the shop or at.
I thought he decided he didn't need the AC.
Okay, he's using that money to put on the lift.
That's, the money that they were talking about spending for the
Right.
recovery machine is,
Which he's decided to just farm out what little AC work
They
needs.
do a lot of
he said it wasn't, he couldn't justify using the recovery,
For one
buying the
car.
recovery machine.
I
but-
see. And that lift is $66.75. That's what he's asking for. That new lift.
Okay, so what is the 15,000 there in the capital for?
That's the lift.
That's for it live.
The lift not 15,000?
It's only $66.75.
Well, the way he writes it on the back page here is he's saying we want to use the $64.99 that was supposed to be for the air conditioning machine on the lift. And we want to increase it to 15,000. Something that reflects, see, they never have spent the $64.99 budgeted, but they haven't spent it.
That was for the Freon machine, right?
Yeah.
That's right. A couple of years ago, we approved that. Yep, they haven't ever done it.
Yeah.
Budgeted,
And
but
he
it's not
doesn't
spent.
need to. He
He's
doesn't
saying
do, he
instead of
doesn't.
that, I want to buy $15,000. Somebody's saying the lift is $15,000.
No, it's only $66.75.
Quote is at
Well, then all he needs to do is
66.75.
just put 66.75 out there if he doesn't want the air conditioner. Unless he
Yeah.
wants both.
Maybe he's wanting a cushion for other tools or something else. Maybe in the future, I'd have to ask him.
Is he where we can talk to him?
I don't know. He's riding a motorcycle somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I can hear his phone.
We'll send him
You go
a
send him a
text to
text.
see if they can. I've got his cell phone.
There's no need for me sitting in here because
I don't have his phone number.
Jeff, I tried to go up and find out about my mower and what Jeff doing, working on Applewood personal pickup truck.
Hey,
So there's no need for me to get involved in this business. Y'all
It's
don't
commission.
waste taxpayers' money. I'm telling you, all I can do is tell the voters is just let them waste it. Let them come to work.
You're asking us to fire the mechanics or reduce their pay, you know?
Reduce one of the mechanics.
Reduce one mechanic. I just don't think it could be done
Mechanic.
with reducing
I've been here 6
one.
months, I've been here 6 years.
Well, we've always had 2 mechanics my whole life.
No, we
Ever since we've had a shop.
Yeah, I need his number.
What, 30 years
Okay,
we've had a shop?
yeah, you know what?
Who was the first mechanic?
You know what Mr. Fitch said?
Exactly happening. We
Had 2 when he was here.
Dennis Wilbanks, and Ricky been out there for all those years helping Dennis, and then he helped Terry.
That's right, and we do that. We do that. We do everything. We fix everything we can. They have enough to do when they have to. They're always busy. Take something there, you're gonna have to get in line and get it fixed. So, and we all do believe that. Fix what you can. We all tend to what we can fix. Well, we sharpen our own blades.
Yeah, we sharpen our blades.
You have to be patient. Yeah, you can't just go in there and get something done immediately. I've got stuff sitting up there ready to be worked on now that I don't know when it'll get done.
I'll tell you something else too. We don't know. If you go to shop at Preferred or AGAN Dodge, they have a book on how long it takes to cut. That's what they're going to charge you. They do it in 30 minutes a day. We don't know how long they take to live in. They put down the hours they want to, how much it takes to do it. They lay it out there on the phone, talking on the phone, underneath the truck. They still put it down.
I don't know. I have trust in their judgment.
Well, I didn't think I'd hold you quick. Golly, that's responsive.
Okay,
Carolyn called, I sent him a text.
Okay.
Welcome, judges. How are
Maybe
y'all
we'll hear
doing?
back and we'll see what on that.
Yeah,
one item.
I'll ask him what that is.
Yeah, you gonna let me know whether it's 15,000 or 65?
Yeah. All right, thank y'all for being here. Who's your spokesperson gonna be?
We had 3.
All right.
Ken is first of all, courthouse security,
Yeah.
and we thought we'd let him call. If there's any questions you want to submit to us, we would have something to it. And then each of us want to address the issue of other issues that John talked about too, as well as John Quick.
Okay. Well, we've got microphones set up down here. We are recording this video and audio so folks at home could watch this if they're interested. It's not live, but it'll be put on the computer. So in whatever order you would like to address these issues, please proceed.
I guess first we'll go over the part-time security. What we'd like to do, Judge, Commissioners, is I know we've been pouring out of the security fund. I'm not sure what the balance on the security fund is now, but I know it's putting a drain on it pretty heavy. I believe we spent about, since Woody's been hired, about $17,000 on security.
Has that all gone to Woody?
I believe so. But that's a year and 9 months or so. So it's close to 2 years worth of extra security. And what we're running into is just staffing problems. The sheriff's office just does not have the people to send to us. Right now, the way we've got it set up is in the morning when we have court, me and Woody both go to the metal detector. And then right before court starts, I leave the metal detector and Woody stays there, and I go announce court, and then I stay in the courtroom. And so we're only using him at court times and only when he's needed. And so what we thought would be efficient is maybe getting a second bailiff, because our part-time bailiff, as needed. And the reason that we need that is we keep having over and over and over again times where we've got 2 courtrooms going and we need somebody at the metal detector, and the sheriff's office doesn't have the resources to help us. And that's what we're running into right now is, say we've got AG court going on in courtroom B, and then we'll have cases going on in courtroom A. And it's become a pretty good problem for us to cover.
You have nobody in there with a gun or with any authority to do something if problems arose?
We have Marcus on occasion. Thank y'all for approving that, by the way. But we do have Marcus in there with a gun. But
and where is he typically? I want you to tell me something about that. What do you mean he's in there? In where?
In the courtroom with a gun.
What courtroom?
Well, it could be courtroom A or courtroom B. And so
and how long at a time might Marcus be in there?
Well, see, that's the problem. He's in and out. He has to go make copies. He has other duties other than just carrying or securing the court. And there's a lot of duties that he has to take on that are court or district clerk related. And that he can't just sit in one place because he has to go from the courtroom to his office and back multiple times a day when we're holding court.
As part of his job of district clerk, or
as part of his job,
or as part of him trying to juggle two jobs? Because what I want to know is, are we? We had this discussion, and we were assured that Marcus was not going to be spending time doing security work, bailiff work, when we were discussing, having him be able to be a deputy. So is that still the case? You're describing a situation where he's going back and forth between the district clerk's office and the courtroom. Would he be doing that anyway, even if he wasn't?
He would be doing that anyways.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not pulling our district clerk in to be a bailiff.
No, that's not the case. However, it's it's an extra gun in there for extra security. He's a good guy with a gun, and in Texas, I believe we need that.
But his focus is on doing his job. It's not on focusing on the things that maybe a bailiff ought to be more focused on.
Yes.
He just happens to be there.
Exactly.
So, that's right.
And so, basically, I looked at what we paid Woody in the past, and I come up with a figure of around 17 for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, and what we're asking for is, an allotted amount of $30,000 to to be able to hire an additional officer and only use them when we need it right now. And if we're going to 2 courtrooms over there, we're going to need it anyways. And so I don't know if what your position is on that, but that's...
Where's Marcus's pay coming out of right now? Not Marcus's, Woody's.
A security fund, sir.
Coming out of the security fund, like line 1 of the expenses. You've got the revenue on page 1 and the expenses on page 2. On page 2 is top of the line, part-time bailiff.
Let me ask you something. Do we have 2 courts at one time? I didn't know that we ever had 2 courts at one time, all on this building.
Yes, sir. On a consistent basis, we do. Yes, sir.
They're utilizing that courtroom B that has no jury box in it, and they can. And what all can you do in there in that limited setting?
We do CPS court. We do AG court. Sometimes both judges have set something for the same day, and so I'll have Judge Ralston in B and Judge Saucier in A, and so even if we just had me and Woody, that would cover courtroom A and courtroom B, and we still wouldn't have anybody at the metal detector. And so, you know, it's just been a problem trying to get help over there. And, you know, we're really lacking in that area.
You're talking about hiring a guy at 30,000, you're talking about the benefits?
No, sir. No, sir, not at all. We're talking about part-time work at a set rate and only as needed, sir. And for us to oversee that and make sure that that's kept under control.
And to keep him out of benefits, he has to work 29 hours a week or less.
I'm sorry?
He has to work 29 hours a week or less to keep him off the benefits.
Yes, sir. And right now, that's not been an issue. I haven't seen that be an issue. Have you, Nanette? Okay.
So is that a fund where you would identify one person, or that's a fund where you could pay any number of people, whoever could fill in?
Exactly, Judge. We could hire 5 part-time people, and I would only call in 1. But that's not something we want to do. What we'd like to do is use just one additional person, you know, to draw out of, you know, the security fund that we've, instead of having to draw it completely out and drain the whole security fund. And I don't know how fast it's been draining, but I know it's decreased a lot. And, you know, we've taken metal detectors and cameras, and everything's coming out of that fund. And it's that fund is sinking pretty fast.
Yeah, we only budgeted about 13,000 a year to come in there.
Okay, well, show me all these. I'm getting confused maybe by the sheets that I'm looking on. These accounts, the 510 account.
Yeah, you look at page, it'll say page 47 to 48 at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, 47 is the revenue. That's all the security fees fund. One page is revenues, one page is the expenses. So on the revenue side, there's $13,000 budgeted. We've collected 91.21 so far. You see that?
Yeah, so you'll be about on track by the end of the
Yes,
budget
yeah, it'll
year.
collect about 13,000, but if you look on the next page, we've already spent 26,000.
But we have budgeted 49.
That's right.
So we'll end up
There's some money
spending.
in there. There's $37,000 in there, but we won't be able to continue doing that.
Well, you've got budgeted courthouse security $40,000.
I know, because we might need to spend it. I had the money in the bank, in the fund. In other words, I had like $30,000 to start the year with. We put another 13,000 in. So that gives me 53. That's where we could spend it all if we needed to spend it all.
Well, do we need to add 30,000 on top of the 40,000 is my question.
That's not what we were proposing,
No,
sir.
You wouldn't put that on top of it, but you're going to have to supplement the fund because it's not going to pay all that.
Well, it hadn't been paying it so
It's
far.
been
I
paying
mean,
so far because at one point it was $75,000 in there.
Right.
It's down to $37,000 now.
I understand that, but we specifically put in a line item budget of $40,000.
Right, to miscellaneous, in case y'all wanted to use it. I put the money in the budget.
How much do we need to increase that $40,000 to achieve what we're talking about here?
Well, you've used 17,040 so far.
So you might end up the year at 25.
Right. But that's for other things. That's not for this position. So next year, you're either going to have, if you budgeted 30 for that position, you're not going to be able to.
So none of this bailiff compensation is coming out of that 40. It's all in that.
It's in those other numbers up above that.
Okay.
See, there's a part-time bailiff, a Social Security, retirement. Y'all may not see that.
No, I
A copy of
don't have a copy of that.
What type of person would you hire, and what kind of, would they be on a semi-regular basis or just an on-call basis? Would they know their schedule at the beginning of the week?
Yes, sir. Just like Woody, we would put them on part-time. It would be a commissioned officer that was paid from, you know, and if you've budgeted $40,000 over here and you've already got a line item, then, you know, I don't think we have a problem if we can draw out of that. You know, we're not asking for 40 plus 30.
Oh, within another year, I won't have 40 in the budget.
Right.
Because it'll be used up. At
Well, if
some
we
point,
keep
we're
funding it,
gonna
if you
do this,
keep
we're gonna have to
funding it,
fund
you will.
Well, you're only gonna bring in 13,000 a year. That's all we're bringing in.
I understand that, but we already created a new budget item, and that's part of the budget. That's part of the tax rate is $40,000. My question is, how much of it is left? How much of that might be available to go towards this new position?
Well, for a year or two, you might be able to get, you're gonna also still have Woody in there too. You're still gonna pay for sometimes security cameras and different things out of that fund.
Well, so you're saying we shouldn't look to that courthouse security account. We need to budget an additional $30,000. Okay. Anyway, so this person would have a fairly regular schedule?
I'm sorry, Judge, what?
Would this person have a fairly regular schedule?
You mean Woody, sir?
No, this new person you're talking about.
They would have a PRN position, an as-needed position, sir. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking to hire somebody full-time. We're not looking for another position. We're just looking to fill a spot when we have two courtrooms going at the same time.
Well, what kind of person is out there that can maintain a schedule that's flexible enough to meet your flexibility needs without having 5 different people that you could call at any time?
I know some people. There's some retired DPS people.
Okay, so you're talking about retirees
yes,
for
sir.
the most part.
Yes, sir. And people that, you know, have a license or a retired license can jump back as active. And so, to me, we can just pay them, you know, as needed. I don't think we need bailiffs sitting up here right now 20 or 8 hours a day at that front while court's not going. But when we have court, you know, like I said, we'll have a bailiff in A, B, and then we need someone at the front metal detector. And so, in order to make it work, we need another part-time guy. And the sheriff's office is too busy to help us on that. I totally understand their position, but we don't have the support. They don't have the manpower down there.
And I'm
is what
not
they're telling
arguing
us.
your need for this person. I agree. I was just wanting an understanding of what kind of person it would be. It's not paying additional monies to off-duty officers. This would be a person who's out there not currently working in our system.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And you're paying them about how much?
25 an hour.
Okay. So this would be a licensed peace officer carrying a gun that would be present in the courtroom during the entire time you've got court going?
Yes, sir. Or at the metal detector, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I don't think these guys knew that you were running 2 courts at the same time, and I didn't know it was that often.
Yes, sir. It is on a consistent basis now, and we've been running that way for a couple years now, a year and a half. It's been, I mean, we're getting busier and busier and busier, and we're just having to have 2 courtrooms at one time going, and you know, it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every week, but you know, I would say at least 6 or 7 times a month we got this issue, and so. You know, I don't think we're going to be spending that much money on it. We just need it allotted so that we can have an additional person.
I totally agree. You need at least one person in each of those courtrooms at all times, plus that person up front.
Thank you, Judge.
What's that total expenditures, district court expenditures, at $296,847, Carl, on that page 9?
Yes, that includes all
That's everything. And then they generally, you can see their record, they usually spend about $200,000 a year.
Well, you never
That's what it
know.
costs us.
what
Yeah, you never know.
Attorneys you're gonna have on that. We've been able to, and we get some reimbursements for some of the indigent attorneys too.
Well, it doesn't cover near the cost, but we pay for a lot of attorneys for people that can't.
In their
And translating, and that's basically the cost of operating the district court. Not the judge's salaries or anything, they're paid by the state, but that's the cost of operating court.
There's a lot of money, or a lot of different line items that total that expense.
Yeah.
You're looking at just the office expenditures, computer expense, CPS attorneys. There's visiting judges, translating, court reporting, juvenile appointments, competency examinations. There's a lot of line items that add up to that.
Your attorney's expense is running considerably lower than it has been in the past. Looks like we'll end up the year with maybe $55,000 compared to last year, 80, and the year before, 93. I wonder why that's trended down.
What you're looking at is, if you look at 17 and 18, we could have 2 or 3 cases that bump it up to where an attorney is billing $10,000 or $15,000 for a week or week and a half trial, and so
it's just real variable. We don't know.
There's so many variables that go into that, and we just haven't had a long, drawn-out case in this fiscal budget.
And that security fee that's in there, think about, we might have to have another metal detector.
Yes, sir.
Have it worked on. That'll come out of that security, or will it come out of technology somewhere to pay for that too? We have to replace or repair
Yes, sir.
it for extensive or something.
I got a quote this morning, and we're looking at around $3,400–3,500.
That's going to wipe that out.
When Paul purchased these other ones, he talked to me about getting a new one. I said, no, we don't need to replace it right now. It's working fine. And I don't know if he cursed me or what, but about 6 months later, it's giving us false feedback. And so I know that metal detector's been there probably 17 years plus. And it's been the same metal detector since I started. So.
Probably need to get that in the works, in
Yes,
process. In fact, I'm going to put that on the agenda to approve that purchase, before the year's out.
So what we think we're going to add, about 25,000, and that'll kind of.
Paying them $25 an hour, and you're using 20 hours a week.
Yeah, it's just a good estimated guess of trying to just even it out. Yeah, but other things take it too.
It's
So,
only replacing 13,000 a year.
yeah.
Okay, talk to us about John Kriegel there, your translator line number 412 on page 9.
Thank you all again for letting us come over, and just a couple of comments, and I'm sure Judge Saucier will also have some comments about what we've already discussed with you, but I think Judge Lee, you recognize, and I think maybe y'all have heard about the fact that family law, whether it be AG court, CPS court, or what we do, creates a highly volatile situation. If something's going to happen, it's going to happen there more than likely. And so that's another reason why we appreciate y'all considering the extra help on those days. And if you talk to the CPS judge or the AG judge, they'll tell you the same thing because, things come up. With regard to John Kriegel, right now, the budget calls for him to be, we have $50,000 budgeted, y'all do, for John Kriegel. Our request for the commissioners was to start treating John Kriegel as an employee of the county. as well as employee of Camp and Morris counties, kind of like what we do with our court reporters. They, I think, are listed maybe out of Morris County, but everybody contributes to their overall salary. And so what the concern is, or what one of my major concerns is that we're utilizing John pretty regularly.
Tell them who John is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I just assumed since you used, okay, John Kriegel is our translator. And he comes to district court as well as county court. And so what we're talking about district court, we're not only talking about district court, but also Judge Lee's court. Because cases come up and we are mandated by law to have a translator there for, say, an example, a person charged with a crime. If we don't have a translator there, you know, translating for the defendant all the proceedings, all the witness testimony and so forth, then the case is going to come back to us. And that person has got to be qualified. And I will just tell you right now, John is the most qualified person in this area. He works in Titus County, works in Camp County, works in Smith County. He's gone over to Greenville and so on and so forth. And so that's who John Kriegel is. And if y'all, I mean, he just is the best around as far as I know. And so our idea and what I'm wanting the court to consider putting him on as an employee is first of all, we're going to be able to call John when we need him and say, you've got to show up because we've got court here. You know, we want him to be our employee and also work in Camp County and occasionally in Morris County. We don't have a whole lot in Morris County. But like I said, treat him like you do your court reporters, where all the counties basically, you know, pay for John Kriegel. We did come up with a formula to submit to you. Titus County has more business utilizing John Kriegel than anybody else. You know, 2.5 times more than Camp. Morris County, not so much, you know, maybe 20% or less goes to Morris County. And it would help us out if we're able to have the man here. And also Judge Lee, we're not saying he doesn't come to county court because there will be occasions when you have to have him too.
Not very often.
Not very often, but when you need him, you're going to need him. And I don't know what kind of cases, you know, you handle, but when you need him, you're going to need him. So that's kind of, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
He's not paid as an employee of our county, but all 3 counties contribute back to the county. Which one is the court reporter being paid out of?
The court reporter's being paid out of Morris County. And everybody contributes to Morris County for our court reporters. Yes, sir.
I don't know what their benefits are, but it might be cheaper.
Yeah, whoever's got the best deal.
Well, before, you're saying John also does business with counties outside of our district now?
He does.
Does that occasionally put you in a bind?
Yes, sir.
And so you've talked to him about, hey, what would it take to isolate you? You work for nobody but 76, 276.
Yes, sir.
And he said,
not where he doesn't work for anybody else, because it's like our court reporters, you know. If cases fall through, we settle everything, they're sitting there not doing anything.
if you need him, he's there. If he's
we got
available to somebody else, but he might have to cancel somebody else, you have priority.
Yes.
Are you suggesting he go to an employee relationship with us, or is
Yes,
he
sir.
still going to be a contract employee?
I want him we would submit to you that we want him to be an employee of ours. So we've got, I guess you'd say, the priority for John Kriegel. Because as it is now, say a lawyer has got a case, they know a case is coming up, the prosecutor knows he's got a case, we've got to have John Kriegel. But we have to work around John Kriegel's schedule to get the case tried.
But so he goes from an hourly, just a contract basis person, and we bring him into our payroll with payroll tax deduction, and we put him on our insurance, the whole bit?
Yes, sir.
Except he won't be on ours, he will be, court reporters done the same way. They're an employee of Morris County, but then Morris County, since we have an agreement every year over how the salaries that we split.
No, I understand that,
But
but
we're
I
gonna
thought
be
you were, I
reimbursed.
thought he was saying we were gonna bring him in as a Titus County employee.
No, he would be a Morris County employee, but Titus County would be responsible for their portion of his payroll taxes.
That's
all
fine.
that. We pay
That's
all
what you were saying?
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
and
We're
Morris,
We're not proposing putting the burden 100% on Titus County, and if I wasn't clear on that, it would be based upon how we've been using it, look at historical situations.
no, you were clear, but there is a difference in what county actually gives him a W-2.
That's right, that's why I was asking if Morris County could get it.
Is Morris County willing to do that, and do they have a benefit package that's gonna be satisfactory to him?
We will go talk to Morris County and find out.
Because I don't think their insurance, I don't know much about their insurance. I wouldn't think theirs is as good as ours, but
And the retirement match might not be satisfied either. But that's where the court reporter is. And then what they do is.
No, and I-
Whatever his total compensation package is.
And I
he
know
gets
that, and that
allocated.
works well.
We pick up.
we just write a check. And if we can do that with Morris County bearing the burden of his payroll expenses, et cetera, we just pay a pro rata portion, that's fine. But let's try to, in other words, I was just curious if there was something about Titus County's benefit package that he liked and said, yeah, I want to be a Titus County employee.
He doesn't know anything about the benefit package.
Okay. You've
And
just,
quite
you've
frankly,
just
I
come
don't
up
either.
with, you've just come up with, what'd you say?
I don't know anything about it either.
Well, you have just agreed on a price that John has told you, for this amount of money, you get top priority.
Yes,
Okay.
with each county paying
And
part of it.
55,000 is about what our pro rata share would be,
Yes, sir.
would you? And that line essentially, all the data you have here for 17 and 18, really, he's still the only guy we use. It's not like we have a pool of translators. He's
the only guy.
been the only guy. So
We-
15,000 might be a little more than we have paid. We'll probably end up the year with,
Well, Judge Lee, let me give you an
40,000.
example or something that could, it's almost like the county is saying, okay, we're going to have this guy as an employee, the counties, if something was to happen, like you have a capital murder case, those things can go 3 or 4 weeks long or longer, just depending. And if you've got to have John Kriegel there the whole time, you're looking at spending some serious money. And you may blow your entire budget for the whole year on one case. On the other hand, if John Kriegel's an employee, then we don't have that issue. So that's just one example.
but his rate stays flat. We pay an annual fee, period.
Yes, sir.
Should help your scheduling be a little smoother,
Yes, sir.
be a lot more efficient.
Yes, sir.
Speaking
That's
of
true.
murder cases, what have we got going on in the district regarding murder cases? You know,
Right now, we have 2 that I'm
and
aware
for
of.
those of you that don't know Judge
I'm sorry.
Saucier,
Judge Saucier.
these are our wonderful commissioners here, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and some of them may not have ever met you, but just in case you haven't, this is who replaced our beloved Judge Woodson. We're glad that she did. Yes, ma'am. And, well, anyway, you know, we've got we always live in fear of that big murder case that comes along, and we have to pay for these
right now. One,
attorneys.
and I was actually going to mention this back when we were talking about security. We have one that is a Hispanic case. We had a bond reduction hearing the same day that we had CPS court. I had a courtroom full of the victim's family, who were, that's a highly emotional charge too. Plus, we had CPS court, and had we not had officers that were subpoenaed to testify, we would not have had enough security in that courtroom for that. So I do appreciate you considering that.
We hope
Sorry,
that you'll
what?
never.
It's real tense when
It was
I never know if
yeah.
it's CPS or who killed
We
who,
hope that
but
you'll
it's, you can
never
tell it in the hallway.
Don't ever put yourselves in a position over there, budget or not, where you don't have adequate security over there.
So what we have coming up, we had, on that case, it was set for trial in June, but it's since been moved, and I'm not sure what day it's going to be moved to. But we have another murder trial in October that is scheduled for 2 weeks, for a full 2 weeks in October. So that's not only a security issue, but if we have any non-English speaking witnesses, or I believe the defendant speaks English, but I'm not sure about all the witnesses, we would need Kriegel there for 2 full weeks, basically. So you're right, that would blow the budget. In Camp County, I have a murder trial coming up the end of June, and it is all Hispanic. So John Kriegel will have to be there for the whole week, and it may go into 2 weeks. So it could easily blow the budget with just the murder cases that we have pending.
Okay. Do we have any court-appointed attorneys in those murder cases?
We do. Not in Araceli, she is a hired attorney, I believe. But in the one I have in October, there's actually been 2 attorneys appointed to represent that defendant because the initial attorney that was appointed to represent her does not have a lot of experience with murder cases. So a second attorney was appointed to assist her. And plus they'll have experts, I expect, in that case that'll have to be paid as well.
And these are Titus County cases?
Those are, yes.
Are we looking at large liabilities on those court-appointed attorneys?
I don't. On that one, we also have a special prosecutor, so I think as far as the financial hit to the county, I think it could be significant for that murder case. Just going to be honest with you. I don't know how much. I have no idea the total, but it could be significant.
Because, you know, we chose not to join up with that coalition.
Now, this is not a capital murder case, so I don't.
Okay.
It's a murder case, but they haven't charged it as a capital offense.
Okay.
So I don't think what you're talking about, where you would have joined up with the insurance, it wouldn't have kicked in anyway.
Okay. Well, so what we decided to do is we set aside $12,000 a year. Is that right? We've been putting $12,000 a year into a fund, hoping to build that money up for when that day arrives, and we've got real large expenses on a capital murder trial. But these are not capital murder trials.
They're not.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I kind of took you on a sidetrack. We'll get back to, we've talked about John Kriegel. We've talked about the additional security. What else do we need to talk about?
I think the only other thing that we were looking to increase a little bit is the first judicial administrative expenses. If you'll look, we're at 99% on that.
What is that?
Okay, that's a situation where all of the district courts have to contribute money to our administrative judge. And that's how they're taken care of. And the administrative judge is the guy or his office that we would call if one of us, if we need another district judge because we're disqualified or somebody gets sick or so forth. That's kind of what that is. And we have to contribute money to support that operation. Well, it's kind of fixed, and then they'll sit there and say, this is what the deal is, and so forth. I mean, we haven't had any great increases in that over the years that I know of. That office does provide a service to us, and everybody in the area.
But we're only talking about $870 or $800 more. Close to that.
Then I've got miscellaneous line down there, it's $5,000, something, you can get it over.
Right.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, any reason you don't want to, that you wouldn't want to honor these? Nope. Okay, I need to take this call real quick. Did you tell them about our next Commissioners Court meeting? About that report that's going to be, we're going to have Glenn Calvert, the engineer that evaluated the annex for remodel considerations, will present his formal report on Monday the 22nd at 9 a.m. He's got a written report that he's supposed to have in my hands this week, if you care to look at that in advance.
We definitely would like to see it.
So I don't know if you can be here on a Monday to hear straight from the horse's mouth. I think it will be an enlightening report talking about the pros and cons of that building, and there's plenty of cons that you need to be aware of.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right. We're good.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
You're free to go.
Nice meeting you, Judge.
Ken, you need to stay for 5 minutes. We need 5 minutes of your time.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Judge. Thank you, sir.
All right, keep up the good work. And really, between now and then, don't go security-less over there. Okay? Don't go security-less. Find
Serve and
somebody.
protect, son.
Serve and protect. Okay, so Carl, you're gonna raise that first judicial, but you're gonna lower the other expense, a couple of thousand.
I got it marked, I marked that one go up from 3132 to 4,000, took the other one to 5,000.
Okay, and in order to get this 30,000 of additional security, is that gonna be a net increase of 30, or are you gonna take it out of that other line, courthouse security?
Well, I don't think I can take that whole 30 out of courthouse security.
No, not the whole, but how much of it, if any, can you take?
Well, give me an idea
10?
of what you think you're gonna spend next year on courthouse security.
Probably 25,000 more, probably.
Because if I bring in, if I get 37,000 now, and you go back to the page, 47, 48. 37,000 now, pretty much most of my money now. I'm gonna collect maybe $4,000 a month. That brings me up to 41. If I spend, well, you fix to spend 3,500 on this.
More, 35.
On the deal, so you're gonna spend 3,500 there, and maybe another 5,000 on some other things, so there's 8,000 coming out of 37 plus 4 is 41, minus 8, 34,000. Start the year with. I wouldn't be comfortable using more than 10 of that.
I wouldn't either. That's about what I was thinking.
So what I'll do is I'll probably transfer 20,000 out of general county over.
This is Jeff Gates.
Okay.
Fund the balance of that. I don't think it'll take all 30 on. How are you going to use it? That's 20 hours a week, every week. So I'm not going to use it. That's what I'm doing. That means 20,000 sometimes.
Yeah, but that's for the air conditioner.
What's the next year? Whatever she pays, she'll pay. She'll pay. She sets up payroll, she has a code, which is part of the system.
Then that puts 15,000. Gary ought to be able to, Gary ought to be able to. Okay, very good, that's all I need. Thank you. Installation. Well, what he's saying was that $6,500 cost, that's just the materials on that level. He doesn't know what the installation cost will be and whether or not there will be some modifications needed to the slab, but that slab is not moving. So I asked him to get with Gary, if he get us a turnkey install price, and that's all he needs. I don't think it's $15,000 to install that $6,500. Gary Lockerbie that sells that kind of heavy equipment. He gets price from him. I think that's who this is from, but it didn't include any of the labor to install it. And if he has to cut holes in the slab and have thicker concrete. Okay, Carl, on your Jeff Cates budget, that $15,000 under capital outlay.
Yes.
He was thinking he would go high on that because he doesn't know what the installation cost of that $6,500 lift is going to be. So by the end of the month, he should have me a good figure there. So that will be adjusted to actual, the cost of that lift instead of the $15,000. Once Gary Lockerbie looks at that slab to see if it needs thicker concrete under it or not.
Okay. Well, we're not going to keep the budget until.
Oh, I know, but I'm just telling you, put a star by that figure to adjust to actual once I have it by the end of July. Don't ask me, I have no opinion. Okay, we want to continue on into commissioners' discussions. I'll take a break.
I just so, I mean,
And I told them all to use the 555 figure.
Yeah.
We
Got that figure.
I don't know if we can add any more. That's the old numbers from before.
I know, that was 6 years ago. Inflation, cost of material.
Oh, I understand that. I'm gonna try to get y'all some more money. I just want y'all to budget based on that, and I'll go.
Increase by 25% to 656,000. 525, and most of it going to raw materials.
I don't know if I can go that high.
Inflation's been that much since.
I know.
That's all we usually.
But it was 2016, what was it, 3 years ago, 4 years, 3 years ago. But, like I said, if we can keep the rate the same and move it from INS to M&O, then I could maybe get you, maybe it's not $100,000 each for road. That would bump you, up kind of where you're talking about. But it would be down to just the road.
Really? You think you get that much?
I think I get 2 cents because I could go 2 cents for that.
I'd like to take all this maintenance stuff out of here. We're gonna keep this up.
James.
I got 16,000, you got 21,000 remaining for repairs.
Well, if you don't use them out, if you're gonna outsource it, you're gonna pay the 16,000 to somebody.
We're using now plus paying 216,000 plus.
Well, the money that's in your budget is going to offset the 246 over there. It's not being double counted, it's being used to offset it. But you're gonna spend that much money in repairs, whether you pay it to Jeff or the maintenance barn, or whether you pay it to Conroy at the tractor place, or wherever else you go. I mean, I think you're gonna need some money in repairs and maintenance to cover whatever you're gonna spend on the equipment.
Are you gonna charge them back to precinct one? Just my equipment?
If you don't want to use the maintenance barn, you don't have to, but you're gonna need to use that repair money to pay somebody to work on the equipment.
I'm not gonna get what he has plus my 21,000?
Somebody's got to pay for the maintenance barn regardless. Why would we go out of the county to a third party and pay them money while we've got a fixed amount of expense going to the shop already? That's not state money.
We have to send out a lot of stuff anyhow.
Yeah.
And we have to do that. If it's community property, shared property, we spend it 4 ways. And if he does it for precinct one, he charges precinct one.
Well, what is it that you would farm out to a third party?
We farm that all the time now. Maintenance. We're talking about the people, what they do now. They do, they put in line, I've had more, they put in line, of course, I don't think mine gets fixed on that.
What specifically would you send out to a third party?
Well, I do a lot, what the whole misconception is, people that not having been there before, that are new commissioners, is this is an extension of the precinct. It's not a shop. And they don't want Jeff to come from the shop and buy it. You want to run it like a shop. You know, you have profit and loss, you have accountability. You put in a clutch, you charge whatever the work calls for. You don't put in just what you want to or whatever you say and do like this. And we do the work now, the guys do the work all day long. They put a floor in a trailer and all this. They've done all kinds of stuff. Like I said, I've never seen one of the mechanics at the Space Barn have one of Jimmy's hands. They do everything. And I guess that's good equipment, but it's an extension of the commissioner. And it's a responsibility for the place of the commissioner. And why they totally going to take everything away from the commissioner. I mean, the unit system was that way. Now the unit system is gone. And we're still going to go back to the word of the commissioner are still in charge of their maintenance. Now we've given it over to another guy. And he's in charge of the maintenance. So the system is just, you don't get out all the time.
I just asked a question. You talked about, I'm not going to take my stuff to the maintenance barn. Where are you going to take it, and what are you going to take? What are you going to pull out of the maintenance barn as far as your repair and maintenance needs? Everything. And where are you going to take it? How will that save the county money? Do you understand that we're going to pay them regardless? They're on salary. We
Well, I
got
think that's what Al's point is, what his argument is that he thinks we're overstaffed to the maintenance barn anyway. We should have one person instead of two, and we're paying too much money to maintain the maintenance barn. That's what Al thinks.
But still, him going to Conroy, how does that save us money?
I had to go to Conroy today. I mean, there's so much stuff that they're not able to work on. That's not their fault. I think the motivation not to have the machine. It's not getting it well. I mean, it's something we're not, we don't need it. It's not what we will have that.
just one mechanic and a part-time.
There's 6 years.
Yeah.
And we've had one too, so why don't you just, look around and ask somebody that's been there?
I've been trying to, we talk about this all the time, Al. I've been, my eyes are wide open and my ears. They are.
I don't believe you can't see how much they're not working. And of course, they might be working on their stuff.
They have plenty to do, and I have them work on some of my stuff. I don't constantly have them working on stuff. We do a lot of our own repairs as well as everybody else, and you do yourself. But their main, I'd say, most of their stuff is doing all of our security vehicles for the sheriff's departments. A lot of it, all that maintenance on those vehicles. It really is. It's about 80 vehicles or more. And it's priority, so we have to have somebody ready to go, knock it out when they come in.
All I can say is, John, I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand how it worked before. I don't think that Dana understood how it worked before. And Jimmy don't even have to, because he's never had that problem. He still don't have a problem. They bring some up there and use the equipment we have, the heavy lift or whatever we got. And they manage without it. And so us to go out and spend $16,000 for something to sit there, I think is silly. But that's my opinion, it's a waste of money. Our men should do the work themselves, and we have plenty of time in the winter time to change oil, filter stuff.
We do.
And this all, we hired this other guy because Terry, that's a air filter stock up on the tractor. He was doing a pencil beating out on those police cars, sheriff's cars, and he got caught. And shot the river stopped him. So Jimmy wrote him up. Of course, he didn't realize he would give somebody a correction. Notice it'd be bad. We got 4 people that voted. So this is it. If that's what you want to do, I'll try to do my best to let the taxpayers know how y'all like to waste their money. They don't have lunch hour, they go to lunch hour when they want to, they come to work when they want to, they leave the shop when they want to. They do anything, they don't have anything. We don't have an out on the tape, they fill out a paper, they gotta go and put it in the computer. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard. I know we signed up for 4 years, but we still don't have the manpower it takes to do this. I just think it's foolish, and I think we need to have some rules that go to lunch hour, one time, another time. We have some time to go to work, we have some time when we're at 6:30, instead of 6 when we're getting ready to 7. And it's kind of, some of those things can be worked out, and I don't think worked out, I think that's a decision. I'll get one for it, and all those things should be discussed amongst the parents. As long as y'all think it's running just like it is, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. Go ahead and vote the way you want to. Let's not go back to the system we have. People vote for your system, that's the rules. Don't take it back to the shop,
Well, we always had 2 people in the maintenance. You just said they were more efficient before. They got more done. We had 1.5, you're saying, because Ricky could drive, haul stuff.
Not only that, he did all the time, you could call him, and the other guys, he did not. Totally different complex. That today is so different.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, they're done.
Well, what I'm hearing is 3 commissioners that believe that the current staffing is appropriate and one that doesn't. I respect all your opinions. I don't have an opinion. like we're going to keep it the way that it is, and I hope you'll continue to use the shop and not go out and create additional expense. Okay, we'll gather back up again once we have all our finalized numbers, and we'll see what we can do as far as road materials expense that would be available with our objectives of trying to keep keeping the tax rate the same. And suppose we can discuss raises at that time too, but again, as I understand, it's that's not being considered at this time. All right, what else before we wrap up? No, he's not coming, and he says, last year he told me that he would look for some additional money from us and not continue to pay his assistant out of his forfeiture funds, but he is not following through with that this year. He said there will be no changes. I did not feel like making any changes since I'm going out of office at the end of 2020. So that is his plan. His budget will therefore stay the same. All right, it is 12:15, and with a motion to adjourn, we will bring this round of budget discussions for the 2019-20 year to a close until we meet back up again in mid to late August. Motion's made by Commissioner Parker, second Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you.